The mere mention of Oklahoma and Texas invokes not a game, but one of the great events in all of football. Each year, both schools make the pilgrimage to Dallas, where the Cotton Bowl is transformed into an arena of color and spectacle. Regardless of the outcome, the matchup has produced historic moments, highlighted some of the best athletes to play the game, and carried on a tradition of unforgettable football. This year, the Oklahoma Sooners are walking tall as the top-ranked team in the nation. They've gotten there with a powerful offense and an overwhelming defense, outscoring their opponents by more than 200 points. They have made it look easy, and they are undisputed #1. But that position could vanish in... Today, Oklahoma battles Texas here on CBS Sports. Occasionally in sports, the big event overshadows the athletic contest at hand. It happens at the Super Bowl, the Kentucky Derby, the Indianapolis 500, and since 1912, the city of Dallas and the Texas State Fair has provided the backdrop every second week in October for two of college football's finest teams. Today, for the 82nd time, it's the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. You know, Texas and Oklahoma have played since 1900 just to decide who has a better football team. I guess you might say it's for bragging rights in a part of the country where bragging rights are mighty important. And Oklahoma this year has a lot to brag about. They're #1 again, and some say this might be the mightiest Sooner team of them all. To find out more about Barry Switzer's powerhouse, let's go across the fairgrounds, and here's Pat Hayden.
Brent, Oklahoma has every reason to brag. You see, they've got all the horses, including ones like these. You know, the last 3 years, Oklahoma has come into this game ranked first in the country. Last year was based on a dominating defense. This year, that ranking is based on an offense that leads the nation both in rushing and in scoring. Clearly, they are the favorite today, but the history of this series has taught us to expect the unexpected. Now, for more on that rivalry, let's go over to John Dockery.
Pat, you're so right. This is a unique rivalry in many ways, including the site. It's neutral and about equidistant between Norman and Austin. A group of Oklahoma students continued a recent tradition of running the game ball to Dallas.
We care about the national championship and the Orange Bowl and everything like this, but we let out school on Monday for OU Texas weekend and things like this because we think that's the biggest game. Beautiful territory in Oklahoma here, isn't it? Make sure you have your seatbelts on now. Plug the seatbelts on because we're in Texas.
The scene in Austin was just as loose. Caravans organized, and at stops along the way, all thoughts were on today's game.
This is just one last thing I'd like to do. It's my impression of Jamel Holloway this Saturday after kickoff.
Those folks just part of the almost 76,000 fans packed in here today, half in crimson and half in orange. And Brent and Pat, interesting, another sellout for the 42nd straight time.
All right, John, and another shootout is at hand. It's Oklahoma against Texas coming your way. And for in 1962, a Texas sophomore center and linebacker by the name of David McWilliams played in his first Oklahoma-Texas game. He was standing down inside the tunnel about this time of the afternoon when suddenly he said, "I felt like I was getting sick. My stomach got all tight and I didn't know what to expect." Today, he'll be coming out coaching the Texas Longhorns for the first time in this game. Right now, John Dockery is inside that tunnel, and Doc, I would think that tightness in the stomach would affect all the athletes here today.
Tightness is a good word, Brent, because normally stadium locker rooms are far apart, sometimes at the opposite end of the stadium. Here at the Cotton Bowl, the Oklahoma team, as you watch them come out, their locker room is directly opposite Texas locker room, about 15 yards apart, so the teams get to see one another before the game. Reminds me of a heavyweight bout with two boxers in the ring getting a chance to size one another up. You talked about your player being nervous. Well, one player told me his knees actually shake. Another talked about butterflies as big as station wagons. Another said, as you go down this tunnel into the Cotton Bowl, you can actually lose your memory before going into the war. Now back to you, Brent.
All right, John, and you know, Pat Hayden, looking at the point spread on this game, it is unbelievable for me to see the Longhorns a 30-point underdog. What chance do they have here today?
Well, if they have any chance at all today, they must keep it close in the first half. And to do so, I think they got to get the ball to Eric Metcalf at least 25 times in this game. He's a player that can beat you on punt returns, as a receiver coming out of the backfield, and also in the sweep on the I formation. So if they can stay close, they have a chance in the second half.
Had so many stars for Barry Switzer. Point out a couple for us.
Well, Jamel Holloway runs the wishbone quarterback position better than it's ever been run before. He makes all the right decisions, very quick decisions, because people are on his face right away. Keith Jackson is simply the best tight end in America, and you need a good blocking tight end in the wishbone formation because they run a lot of strong side plays.
All right, so Barry Switzer and the Sooners of Oklahoma come in here with an unblemished record. Is this Barry's best team? Well, these group of athletes over the last 2 years, only 2 games, both to the same school, Miami. They are on a mission this year. Barry Switzer has been at Oklahoma for 12 years. And we asked Barry, what does Texas OU mean?
Basically, the people are the same. We're Southwestern folks, cowboys, rednecks, whatever you want to call us, people that listen to Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and I like Patsy Cline myself. But we're basically the same kind of people that take pride in our state universities, our state, and it's kind of for the bragging rights that last really 365 days, and that's all.
Now the Longhorns of Texas. Coach David McWilliams. So it'll be coming up, the shootout in Big D, Oklahoma and Texas.
CBS Sports presents college football live from the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. It's the #1 ranked Oklahoma Sooners versus the Texas Longhorns. Today's CFA game is sponsored by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. Michelob Light. When the sun goes down, light up the night with Michelob Light. Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. And by Northwest. Look who gives you more of the world from more of the USA. Look to Northwest.
It's a beautiful day for football here in Dallas, and only a slight breeze from left to right at 6 miles an hour. Now, some time ago, when Barry Switzer was down recruiting, there was a young high school coach down at Abilene by the name of David McWilliams. He has a great deal of respect for Coach McWilliams, and they met for a short time prior to the start of this game, and now the athletes are ready. Texas will receive. They won the flip and elected to defer, and Oklahoma said, we'll take the win and go on defense. Thompson's kickoff, not a good one. The short man with the fair catch there at the 31-yard line, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Texas. Wide receiver Kerry Cash bringing it down. Now the Texas offense, Brett Stafford, he will be the quarterback. A lot will depend on him today. 2 fine running backs, Norris the fullback in front of Metcalf. Texas expected to throw. Tony Jones, the small wide man, and Gabriel Johnson should be the main targets for Stafford, and also his backup quarterback should he come in, Shannon Kelly. Faking to Metcalf. They throw complete on 1st down for a 1st down to Jorick Battle, number 40. Ricky Dixon forced to make the tackle, and so Pat, the men up front now with the responsibility of giving him time to throw. Champagne is the center. Jetton and Saleh the guards. At tackle, Cunningham and Nielsen. Should they go to a tight end, Stephen Clark, but we expect a lot of 3 wide-out formations today. Clark has chucked in on this sequence. They run Norris, the fullback, straight into the middle of that Sooner defense, and Troy Johnson brings him down. Now, the defensive line, Williams is up front, along with Evans and Kilpatrick for Oklahoma. And outside of them are Reed and Johnson. So, Pat Hayden, what about the Texas game plan here so far?
Well, they are going to throw the ball at least 60% of the game. And the opening pass for Stafford there was a big one to get his confidence going.
Here's his second pass down the middle.
Oh.
And incomplete. He was aiming it for Jones, his small wide receiver, and Gabriel Johnson crossing down there.
And I thought he was trying to throw that ball to Johnson because Johnson was wide open for the touchdown.
Now, the rest of the defense, the linebackers, Dante Jones replaces Bosworth. Casper is also there. White and Finch are the cornerbacks for Coach Switzer. And the safeties, Vickers and Dixon. Vickers, the leader in that secondary. This will be a 3rd and 9 for Stafford and the Horns. Off the delay, it's Metcalf. Stop at the 50. Great tackle by Dante Jones, number 50.
And Texas does this a lot in passing situations. They love the draw play to Metcalf, giving him a chance. Now, this Sooner defense, last year they dominated college football. This year they're very solid, but they're tough to run draw plays against. Good read there by Jones, number 50, read it from the very get-go and stepped in and made the play.
Now, Alex waits to punt it for Texas. Barefoot, left-footed punter, and he'll take it out of bounds. And that ball is going to be marked at the 31-yard line. A bad punt of only 19 yards. We'll be right back. Bevo somewhat concerned that Texas didn't cash in on a scoring opportunity when they had that wide receiver all alone down there. He has told Stafford and the other wide receiver to get their act together. Now, here comes the wishbone of Oklahoma. And the man who pulls the trigger is number 4, Holloway. Great speed in the backfield. The fullback, 45 car, the first option for Holloway to watch. He rides it, pulls it out, and keeps it on first down. John Hagee makes the tackle. Now the Oklahoma offense, Holloway the trigger man. Great speed with his halfbacks, Stafford and Collins. And the fullback, number 45, Lydell Carr. Carl Cabanis, when they elect to throw the ball to a wide receiver, is a preferred target. And of course, there is also one Keith Jackson. 2nd and short. This is what the wishbone of OU's frequently puts you in. Here's Carr. Great hit by the defensive front that time. The Texas defense came up tough that time, led by Thomas Aldridge and Dwayne Duncombe.
And one of the keys on the triple option is you must first take away the fullback. And that's exactly what happened there, because if you don't take away the fullback inside, that's the first option, Oklahoma is just going to keep running the fullback at you time after time.
Well, now it is 3rd down and 2 yards to go. And let's see what they come up with here on the wishbone. Stafford, the left half, is 25. Collins, 33, is the right half. Pulls it away from Carr. Keeps it again himself. And quickly the Horns were up, led by Britt Hager, number 60, a main man. Senegal helps him out. I want you to meet this offensive line, folks. We probably will not give them enough credit. It is a great line. Bob Latham is the center. Hudson, John Phillips has moved over to guard to replace his injured brother. They don't lose anything because Richard Marks is a fine tackle. And, of course, Keith Jackson. We're looking at perhaps 3, 4 NFL stars. I'm not talking about draftees. The NFL teams are drooling over that offensive line.
You know, Brett, you always talk so much about Holloway and their backs and their speed, but they get the opportunity to display those skills because the huge front right in front of the offensive line has done a sensational job the last 3 years.
That's how much Holloway needs for the first down. And Barry Switzer elects not to give it up right here. He's going to go ahead and punt it.
And very key for the Texas defense. They bulled their necks and held them on the first series. Key play for Texas.
Now Thompson to punt. Metcalf, the deep man, is a splendid punt returner. His daddy, Terry Metcalf, one of the more dazzling runners in NFL history. He could get his first opportunity unless they elect to punt away from him all afternoon. Coach Switzer this morning expressing concern. Snap on the target to Thompson. Good high punt at the 16, and here comes Metcalf. Eludes the first tackler, but quickly gets hit by the second. That was Dixon, number 34, who came down. A 44-yard punt, and they stopped Metcalf right there in his tracks. If you look back at history, there have been streaks in this series. Look at the victories and the times they played, and of course, right now, Oklahoma's hot.
Very few blowouts in this series. Last year, I think, was an exception. These games generally are very close.
Now let's watch that Horn offense. They split the backs. They come out of the eye this time, and they try to get Metcalf outside. Good defensive pressure that time by Darrell Reed, number 40 for the Sooners.
If you're going to beat Oklahoma, you're going to beat them throwing the football. It's very difficult to run. Part of this defense right here is Dante Jones, and their outside players, this is Johnson, and their other outside linebacker are very good players. They play a base 34, and they like to force everything inside to the inside linebacker Jones. That's where Bosworth played a year ago.
Kerry Cash comes in. They're working 3 wideouts on this 2nd and 10. And off a fake, Stafford with great time, intercepted. Oklahoma with a scoring opportunity as Ricky Dixon picks off a ball that appeared catchable.
It was very catchable. It should have been caught by Tony Jones. Now Stafford will get criticized for the interception, of course, but Jones clearly should have caught this ball, and it would have been a real play. He was going to catch the ball crossing the middle. Good protection was the key here for Stafford that allowed him to step up into the pocket. And the ball is well thrown to Jones. He jumps high, but it clearly should have been caught. It tips up, and there's Dixon to make the play. A good center fielder.
Now, great striking position for Holloway and the Sooners. And they ride Carr, and again, that is twice that the Longhorn defense has met Carr. And Ken Hackenack. Now, I want everybody to remember that name. He's number 68. He is a sophomore out of Belleville, Texas. He's 6'9". He weighs 282 pounds. He wears jersey number 68 because, folks, in the next couple of years, he's going to weigh more than 300 pounds. He'll remind you a little bit of a young John Matusak when you see him set down in there. Now 2nd and 10, and the Horn defense looks strong here so far. This time, Carr up the middle. They split 1/2 out to influence the set, and Hackenack, number 68, makes the stop. Now here is that defense up front. Llewellyn and Hackenack. They are the two men who bear a great deal of responsibility, along with Duncombe and Aldridge, who play outside them. Now Britt Hager must lead the way. He was injured early in last year's game. Beckelman and Dwayne Duncombe, they are brothers. There are 6 pair of brothers in this Texas team.
Big down for the Texas defense.
Holloway pitching outside, and the trailing man is picked up beautifully. That was Richard, the cornerback, who came up, number 18.
And this is terrific defense, and the key defensively was the real quick pressure on Holloway. He comes very quickly, and he doesn't have a chance really to have the option develop the way he would like to have it develop. See, there's immediate pressure. He has to pitch the ball before he wants, and then there's a disciplined defense, the defensive back on the pitch man. Good disciplined defense.
A 44-yard field goal attempt by R.D. Lasher. Misses. Oklahoma is favored by 30. Someone forgot to tell the Longhorns. We're going to be free at last. You know, if they had kept Coach Garrett, they would have had Judd Garrett in their backfield. don't fire the coach when he's got sons who are great athletes. 1st and 10 for the Longhorns, and so far this has been all Texas. Metcalf trying to dance outside, tripped up down at the 25-yard line. Curtis Williams coming across, number 93, to pressure him that time, but you can see how dangerous Metcalf is. The quick feet as he was stepping outside that time. Well, I'll tell you, Pat, the Horns survived a turnover here.
And they didn't do that last year in the blowout. You can see what's happened in their first 2 games where they lost, 12 turnovers. And they've begun to run the ball a little bit more the last 2 weeks.
Again, that formation with 3 wide receivers. Fumble on the snap. Stafford dove back after it.
To beat Oklahoma, you can't have any plays like that. You have to play as well as you possibly can. You can't have any missed exchanges and interceptions.
Pat, well, we've got a moment. Talk to me about the formation here as we see the fumble there on the snap. Stafford going back after it along with a teammate. The Horns recovered, but why 3 wide receivers? I would think against the Oklahoma power defense, you'd want a tight end on all the time.
Well, David McWilliams came into this offense last year at Texas Tech because he didn't have a tight end, and now has really enjoyed and found the advantages of 3 wide outs.
Well, they send Metcalf out, and they run the draw on 3rd and 13 with Norris, and Norris comes out to the 30-yard line. Jones and Casper, the 2 inside linebackers, bring him down.
You know, 3rd and 13, you think it's a bad call. I like it. Again, you don't take too many chances early on against this Oklahoma defense. You want to get to the 4th quarter in a close ball game. You run the draw, punt the football, and play defense.
Now Waits got off a bad punt in his first attempt. Let's see if Oklahoma tries to press him a little bit this time. Boy, that freshman quarterback, Charles Thompson, is back there as one of the Sooners' return men, I see.
Shank again.
Off the side. And it'll be spotted at the 36-yard line where it went out of bounds. 34 yards. Waits struggling. We'll be right back. Pat, how does the wishbone operate for OU?
Well, it's the triple option, and the key is the defensive end. This is what Holloway is looking at first. If that defensive end comes up the field, he will give the ball to the fullback. That is the first option. However, if the end comes down and takes the fullback right there, Holloway will then come down on the line of scrimmage and either keep it or pitch it to the trailing back. That's where you get the 3 different options.
Now, Oklahoma coming into this game, their starting backfield was averaging 7.5 yards a rush.
That's incredible.
Texas has shut down on them here so far. Don't be surprised if they don't come up with a pass to tight end Keith Jackson at some point to try and loosen up this defense. Let's see how it operates here. Now they run right straight ahead with Collins. They changed the look that time. Hagee and Senegal forced to make the tackle.
And a nice change of pace. We saw the fullback dive earlier. That's the halfback dive. He gets there much quicker than the fullback does.
And they got 11 yards as a result. All year long, Nebraska and Oklahoma will keep one eye on each other. How good is that Oklahoma offensive line? Well, Coach Switzer, with a chuckle today, said, we like to think that our backup line at Oklahoma offensively is the 3rd best in the Big 8. He said, we'll give Nebraska number 2. And look who's here. Brian Bosworth over there on the Oklahoma sideline. Little strike time off, and so the Lord of the Earrings gracing us with his presence here today.
Nice do, huh? Love that do.
Here is the first down. Collins moving across midfield for the Sooners.
What I love about Patrick Collins is the way he follows his blockers there. He just waited, and hugged the hip of the lineman in front of him and picked up, about 6 yards. So, yeah, a lot of fast running backs, which Patrick Collins is. He's got great speed. They outrun their blockers. He doesn't hear. You see, he waits. You see the guard in front of him pulling, and he just stays on his hip and then breaks a couple of tackles. That's nice running.
Great block by Mark Hudson, number 79, the left guard. And penalty markers come down. Greg Johnson appeared to move in that offensive line.
That's Oklahoma's 45th penalty of the season.
So they'll take it back near the original line of scrimmage where this series started, and back on the other side of the 50-yard line with Coach McWilliams very pleased by what he's seen defensively here so far.
Well, Texas has always given Oklahoma trouble with in the wishbone offense because the defensive tackles of Texas have always played so well.
Patrick Collins, 33. Anthony Stafford, 25, are the halfbacks. And you see they break the bone here this time. Holloway, faking the pass, takes off himself with those quick feet. And boy, did he get hit by behind. Whoa, Thomas Aldridge came after him.
The defensive end is going to come right inside as you see him come up the field. Now, again, this formation is very much a draw formation for Oklahoma. When they break the bone like that, and he goes right past him. See Jamel Holloway. Runs right past the on-rushing defensive end. They
split Jackson outside on the right. Cabanis on the left. He wants Jackson. Lobs out of bounds, and I'll tell you, that might be interference.
Well, it should have been, because the ball was in the air when the defensive back pushed him. And that ball should have been catchable.
Now that was Hagee who simply took him out of bounds with the push, and if I'm not mistaken, Hagee had a couple of personal fouls that were critical in the game a year ago. So Todd Thompson will punt.
Well, this may turn out to be an interesting first half.
They did not call it on the sideline. They marked where he went out, and there was no penalty flag thrown. So it was a good aggressive play in the eyes of the officials that time. Thompson with a beautiful punt. Metcalf will let it go, and it'll go on into the end zone. I mean, Thompson boomed one. 49 yards. It'll come out on the 20-yard line. All right, the scene in Dallas is simply this. 5:07 to go in the first quarter, and the Sooners and the Texas Longhorns are scoreless. Now, tomorrow, we'll be bringing you the replacement games again at 12:30 Eastern time. We'll tell you what is the latest. Will McDonough will be live in Washington. Then after the NFL today, these are the games, and we have a doubleheader tomorrow. Washington against the Giants, San Francisco and Atlanta. So our coverage starts at 12:30 Eastern. Stafford will throw it on first down. Complete. And that's Gabriel Johnson, number 31, and a 12-yard gain and another first down. I'll tell you what's impressing me, Pat, is the amount of time Stafford has to throw the ball.
That is the key, and watch Brett Stafford as he's time. He really stepped up into the pocket and delivered the ball on time. This year, so far, that's been his problem. He has been stepping up into the protection.
Stephen Clark will be slotted on the left. Again, 3 wide receivers, so the offensive line doing it mano-mano for Stafford. Stafford runs the option, slipped inside neatly, and got another first down.
Stafford does his Jamel Holloway impersonation pretty nicely.
Nice play call by the Texas offensive coordinator that time.
Good blocking by the left side of the Texas offensive line, too, today. Watch as he comes down. He's going to option off Troy Johnson. Doesn't pitch the ball in a little move. He faked the pitch upfield, and then he goes north and south. It's a nice little run and move by Stafford.
Pat, we have an Oklahoma player down. I think it is Derek White, a right cornerback, who is shaken up on the play. He's down. So while we have a little stoppage in the play here, let's go downstairs to John Dockery. Doc?
Brent, you remember our conversations with David McWilliams. One of the things he was concerned about was keeping his team on an even emotional keel, and an intimidation factor. Well, I get the feeling down here on the Texas bench, especially defensively, that they are definitely not intimidated. They've gotten over that factor of playing the #1 team in the country, team that's averaging over 50 points a game. So that's one hurdle that Texas is over. Now back to you.
Well, David McWilliams is very close to this team. He was a coordinator here for years and years, knows these defensive players well, and I think that is definitely one of the keys against Oklahoma for any team, because they can intimidate you. Most players don't feel they can really beat Oklahoma.
Pat, did you have the feeling in watching the Oklahoma players against Iowa State and warm up here that they are overconfident, perhaps justifiably so, but they have not been pressed yet this season?
They've routed 4 opponents, but they've overmatched all 4 of those opponents. But I think that's Oklahoma's style, and I do think most players, it intimidates most teams. It's tough to intimidate a Texas football team, though.
I'll tell you what, there's an intimidating player. You may not like his style, folks, but I want to tell you, Bosworth was a great, great college linebacker, and I think he'll have a tremendous career up in Seattle. Stafford again on first down. He's got time, doesn't he? And on the move, he'll throw incomplete. Couldn't hook up with Johnson that time, who was coming out of bounds on the far side. And Kerry Cash was also working there, number 19. And actually, Cash had the better opportunity to get open for that throw. Had a chance to ask Stafford about today's game against OU, and here's what he had to say.
You know, just being able to win a game like that is something that I feel like would give this team a lot of confidence that we need right now. We have a lot of confidence coming off those last 2 games, but this would be a big turning step for us in this season, and it's something that we're looking forward to, and we know we have a chance. We just have to go out and play well.
Well, he's 2 of 5 with 1 interception. This will be his 6th pass dropped. He's had a couple of balls dropped. That was Metcalf, number 2, who dropped it.
And that's just the kind of play you want to get the ball to Metcalf out in the flat. It's only a 5-yard pass, but he can turn that into 40 yards. You know, I talked with the coaches about Stafford, and the first 2 games they lost, he was just not confident. They feel the last 2 weeks his confidence has come on.
What's that wristband? Do they have the plays on it, Pat, or what?
They send in half the play, and then he'll look at the wristband for just the formation and the motion calls.
So he brings the Longhorn offense up with a 3rd and 10. He'll be looking at 5 defensive backs this time. Rolling to the right, incomplete, and is that interference? You bet. Stephen Clark was the wide receiver, and Kenny McMichael. He simply tackled him over there on the side. There was no question about whether or not it was interference.
Yeah, but the frustrating thing is the route wasn't run even deep enough to pick up the first down. So McMitchell actually could have let him caught this ball, and he still wouldn't have had the first down. But yeah, clearly McMitchell runs right through him when the ball is in the air. It's a good call there by the official. Hey, it drives you nuts as a quarterback, though, when the receiver doesn't pick up enough yardage to pick up the first down.
Detroit bounces back at home here in game 3 after losing the first 2 in Minnesota. The Twins, a different team on the road. Now a 1st and 10. They're down to the Oklahoma 49-yard line. There might be some uneasy folks over there on that OU sideline right now. This wasn't supposed to be happening. Norris right straight ahead, and that offensive line of the Horns drove him back before Dante Jones made the stop.
You know, in college football, you only have 25 seconds to call plays. There's a lot of things you're going to call. This is a typical Texas play. Jacks right, 28, rip blue, go on 2. The Jacks right is the formation, okay? The tight end's going to go to the right. The 28 is the play action pass. The rip is the protection. The Lou is the receiver. He is the hot receiver. The go is the pattern. And, of course, on 2 is the snap count. It's tough to do in 25 seconds.
Gets that one off. Here's Metcalf on the option. Hit hard as he turned the corner by Lonnie Finch, the left corner. Evo likes what's happening, though. He says my Horns are playing pretty well here this afternoon.
And I think I've really liked the way they've called plays. We've seen a couple of option plays. We've seen some draw plays. We've seen some drop back passes and some rollouts.
What would you do here on 3rd and about 7 to go for a first down?
Got to get the ball to Metcalf, in my estimation.
Stephen Clark, Jones, and Johnson are the wideouts. Straight back. Plenty of time. Intercepted again. The 2nd interception is Vickers. Caught the deflected ball.
This is the problem when you have a receiver who's a little short. Metcalf is only 5'9". There's the rush in Stafford's face. It's tough to get the ball over the line with some touch to a short receiver. The ball was high and then tipped. That's how that thing developed.
So Vickers, one of Barry's team leaders, coming up with the 2nd interception for Oklahoma. They have 51 yards to go here for a score this time, and they come out in the I formation. They were going to bring him around. Fumble. Texas ball. Britt Hager, the middle linebacker, pounces on it, and the Horns get it right back. And folks, we may have something brewing in Big D.
Like we said, the longer that Texas can stay in this football game, the greater their chances are of winning. They've survived 2 interceptions here. Here is earlier on the interception to Metcalf. He is lined up at tailback. This was the earlier interception. Now there's some pressure up in the front. Now Metcalf tries to drop this ball over some tall linemen. The ball is high and tipped, and then there's this interception by Vickers.
Texas with the ball at the Oklahoma 43-yard line and a first down off the draw fake. Stafford incomplete down the middle. He simply threw it up over everybody. Tony Jones, I guess, was working that pattern, but that ball really wasn't even close to him.
And here's the fumble. This reverse was actually very well set up. Stafford had a big opening on the right side, but there was a bad exchange on the pitch. It was a little different pitch for Stafford. Usually they're running with the quarterback. That time he was going against the quarterback's grain.
Now on second down, the quick throw outside to the flanker, and Gabriel Johnson comes to the 40-yard line before Curtis Williams, 93, tackles him for the Sooners. I'll tell you one thing about this Texas game plan. They have shown every possible play here in the early going, as another Sooner is down injured on the field, with unbeaten Clemson rolling again this afternoon.
And here they are faced with a 3rd and about 7, a very important down for Texas, because they pick up the first down, then they're in field goal range.
We got a moment here while there's an urge around the field. Let's go to New York and Jim Nance. Jim.
Well, Brent, against Virginia, Joe Henderson closed out the Clemson scoring right here. The 8th-ranked Tigers over 400 yards on the ground today. They had to come from behind early, go on to run the record now to 5-0 on the season. Let's go back to Dallas.
All right, Jim. So Coach Ford and the Tigers stay unbeaten down there in the ACC. I think everyone who tunes in right now, 2:19 to go in the first quarter, would be shocked by that score.
And particularly Texas has turned the ball over twice.
A couple of Sooner players have been injured here already. I think that's Williams who's getting up. Yes, indeed it is. Number 93. He was shaken up for Coach Switzer on the sideline. Barry was concerned this morning. He said, if you've been involved in as many of these battles as I have, you know you don't make anybody a 30-point favorite in this game. Let's go downstairs to John Dockery. John.
Thank you, Brent. This man needs no introduction. Of course, Brian Bosworth. Boz, you've been in a few of these. What does this rivalry mean to you?
I'm telling you, they're playing a great game out there today. This rivalry is where you throw all the statistics away and you go out there and you see who's the baddest on the field at that time.
What about the battle over number 44, to wear it in the NFL or not? What happened in court?
Well, you know, it's something that I really can't comment on right now. I don't really agree with it, but something that I'm going to deal with it later on down the line.
Let's go back to you, Brent.
All right, on third down, Stafford throws complete to Metcalf. Metcalf short of the first down. That was Dante Jones, number 50, who replaced Bosworth, who made that tackle.
Boy, I tell you, Lonnie Finch from the defensive secondary came up and kept him from getting the first down. Metcalf knew where the marker was and was doing everything he could to get there. But Finch stuffed him.
Wayne Clements comes in for the Longhorns here on 4th down and almost 2. It is over a yard. Now, I would say to watch the fake in this situation in a game like this. This would be a 52-yard field goal. It's good. Woo. There is a penalty marker down. The field goal is good. That's his career long, but there is a penalty marker down on the field.
Now, if it's against Oklahoma, does McWilliams take points off the board and get the first down?
Take the first score? Isn't that what you would recommend?
Absolutely. Against Oklahoma, when you're this underdog, you take the 3 points.
Here's Hagee conferring. And the coach is discussing it over on the sideline. Now Hagee looking over. He said, do you want the first down? Exactly, Pat.
Yep. McWilliams is signaling decline the penalty. That's a good decision.
I'll tell you, there is a rule that a lot of coaches follow.
never take points off the board. It's automatic. And even though it's only a field goal and they would have had a first down at the 30-yard line, it is still Texas 3, Oklahoma nothing. And how do you like this?
You know, Brent, I think those are the toughest decisions for a young coach to make. You know, you're assistant all your life, and all of a sudden you're cast into a head coaching job. This is only his second year. Those are the kind of decisions now that fall on you.
Now, Coach Switzer cannot be happy about what's happening emotionally at the line of scrimmage. There is no question that his Sooners have been out-hit here so far. And he must regain the initiative. Make no mistake about it, folks. He's loaded with talent. He's got great athletes. Now,
they assess the yardage on the kickoff here, Brent. Now it comes out to the 50, and you wonder, do you try the onside kick?
Boy, wouldn't that be some play right now for Texas? It is obvious that they're going to try everything here this afternoon. And then when your field goal kicker comes up with a career best against Oklahoma, you've really got him into the game now. So Clements with the ball on the tee, and the Horns up by a field goal. Fielded at the 22 and down quickly right there. And now, boy, I'll tell you what, the Texas defensive players will come a-knocking now.
Well, the intimidation factor is gone now. Texas believes it's in for the long haul. 4 quarters of football.
We got a football game, and I want to tell you, I'm surprised. Let's watch this defensive team now and see how they hit. We got Llewellyn and Hackamack up front. First option Carr comes through at him. Britt Hager making the stop for the Horns. He's the man in the middle. There's Duncombe and Richard down in there with Aldridge 97. Dwayne Duncombe 48 is the linebacker, and his brother Bobby wears number 46. He's a defensive end right there. Now they face the second down. And they pound Carr right straight ahead, and that Sooner offensive line coming off the marks that time. John Hagee making the tackle, but Hudson, Latham, Phillips, and Johnson going back after him.
You know, there are 3 separate games going on here today, games within a game. Now, one of them is right in here. It's the middle linebacker for Texas and the 2 defensive tackles, which must stop the fullback. They really aren't involved in any of the option plays outside. Their job is to stuff the fullback. Their Carr does a much better job.
So with a first down, it is Collins breaking to the 46-yard line. Duncombe forced to make the tackle. That's a 12-yard run. And that offensive line now begins to come off the marks.
But the key here is Texas punted the ball or kicked the ball and making them go 78 yards. That's what they have to do. Oklahoma is going to gain some yards on the ground, but make them go 70 and 80 yards to have a chance.
Well, the Twins are rallying there as we come to the end of the first quarter. Texas leading Oklahoma. College football on CBS will return after this message and a word from your local station. It's an impressive record so far this season by the Oklahoma Sooners. They have routed 3 of those 4 opponents, and against North Carolina it was 4 touchdowns to none. But this afternoon, Pat Hayden, Texas leads by a field goal.
And I think one of the interesting things is this Oklahoma team really hasn't been in a game in the 4th quarter, hasn't had to compete in the second half of a ball game.
On the first down here to start the second quarter, Holloway kept it, and Hager couldn't bring him down. He broke the tackle. The middle linebacker couldn't bring him down, and Hagee was forced after 18 yards to make the stop.
It's just incredible to me. Holloway weighs 180 pounds. Hager is 225. but it shows you how strong Holloway is. It's not just all speed with this young man. The left end is going to go for the fake. That's the first thing that's going to happen as Holloway comes down the line of scrimmage. And that's the perfect read. When the end comes down, he keeps the ball. That's the triple option.
They run Carr inside the 35-yard line. Hackamak bringing him down along with Hager that time. So Oklahoma moving for the first time on this drive after the Texas field goal.
They will score today, there's no doubt about it, but the Texas defense is making it very difficult. They haven't allowed a big play yet.
Now with 6 yards to go on this second down, Cabanis is split out to the left in this formation. Off the option, fumble. Ball went out of bounds, however. Touched last by Oklahoma.
You know, you've always heard so much about Oklahoma fumbling the ball. Coming into today's game, they have fumbled 21 times, although they've only lost 6 of those. But you know, Oklahoma just doesn't look real intense to me right now.
They didn't look intense during the pregame warm-up, but like you say, that tends to be their style. And it is 3rd and 12 against David McWilliams. 5 defensive backs come in. Holloway under pressure. Hagee was blitzing. Great catch by Jackson, out of bounds inside the 10. Oh, the All-American tight end, Keith Jackson. Now there, folks, is a horse and a half.
I tell you, this play was set up all through the years because Jackson always runs the post pattern. This time he breaks it to the corner. All season long, he's gone inside, not outside. A new play. His ball on the numbers. A well-thrown pass. I think the corner route actually is the easiest pass to throw.
33 yards. Oklahoma with a 1st and goal. Touchdown, Carr.
You know, over the last 3 years, every time Oklahoma's offense has gone stagnant, somehow Keith Jackson's always come up with a big play. Remember the Nebraska game a year ago.
What'd you ask him about the passing game today, Pat?
I asked him how much he was going to play today because he was hurt. He said, well, I'm going to play just on the passing downs, all 3 of them. He's got 1 out of the way.
Lasher to attempt the extra point. The Sooners bounce right back. They give up a field goal. Jackson with a great reception. They score for the first time, and they lead it 7-3. Pat, we talked about the catch, but this is a very well-thrown ball by Holloway.
Well, I think the corner route really is the easiest throw for any quarterback to make, but Holloway does a nice job of letting Jackson run underneath this ball. He led him just enough. Over his shoulder, well adjusted there by Jackson, but a good throw. You know, Oklahoma has thrown 18 passes coming into today's game. 6 have been for touchdowns. And then right back with the fullback up the gut. Keep you on your heels.
8 plays, 78 yards. Carr scoring the touchdown, and Oklahoma leads it 7-3. Metcalf and Jones are back deep, but they will not get an opportunity. Kickoff is short, fielded at the 22-yard line and returned out to the 32. So Texas will put the ball in play there against the Oklahoma defense.
Yeah, the key here now for this Texas offense, this is a very important drive for them. Pick up a couple of first downs. Don't let Oklahoma get the ball back right now when they have the momentum.
Now Stafford has had plenty of time to throw the ball here so far this afternoon. They've been unable to get the corner with Metcalf on the sweep. So they'll run Metcalf on the draw. He gets outside himself before he rolls out of bounds with Lonnie Finch going after him. So yes, that is a familiar name, and Terry Metcalf, the one-time NFL star, is his father. Eric Metcalf, number 2. He's a junior from Arlington, Virginia.
Well, he and his dad run alike too, don't they? His father was a great player, much like that, very tough on the corner of the defense.
3 wide receivers. That slot formation. You can see the slot man stepping in motion. And a quick throw to Metcalf as he works out of bounds on the near side and downstairs. And here's Dockery. John?
Brent, Oklahoma, no panic whatsoever along the sideline. As a matter of fact, it's business as usual. And they're so cool that after that last touchdown, Holloway came over to Jackson and said, you run them, you call them, and I'll hit you again. These guys are confident. They're cool. They know how good they are. Now back to you.
Yeah, confidence is not a problem with this Oklahoma football team. 4 yards to go for the first down here for the Longhorns. Timeout is called by Stafford. He'll come over to the sideline now. And we'll take a break with 13:47 to go in the first half. It is 7-3 OU. 75,000 jam the Cotton Bowl here this afternoon for the annual shootout between Texas and Oklahoma. And OU leading 7-3, and the Longhorns face an important 3rd and 4. Their play selection so far, 11 running plays and 10 passes, and 2 of their 3rd downs have been draw plays with Metcalf. They split the backs. Stafford on the option is stopped. Dante Jones, he burned him with an option earlier in the game, but not this time, Pat.
Well, you have to remember Oklahoma sees an awful lot of option during the week. Dante Jones, number 50, right there in the middle of your screen, reads it perfectly. Steps outside when he saw the guard block down and plugged the hole. That's a very nice read by Jones. He's played well today.
Backup fullback McKinley could not get at him with the block and waits to punt again. He has struggled so far. This is a low line drive, takes a bounce on Thompson and gets past him, and now Texas can down it inside the 5, and they will. A 55-yard punt. It took a Texas bounce. You know, this was a difficult week for Coach Switzer, not only worrying about how to convince his players that they might not be as good as their press clippings, but then there was the article which appeared down in Dallas in one of the morning papers about the possibility that Texas, or I should say Oklahoma players, have raised money by selling their tickets. And Barry, of course, throughout the week was answering questions about the problem down there. And right now his Oklahoma team comes up to the line of scrimmage, 1st and 10 at the 2. And almost busting out of there is Stafford. And here's what Coach Switzer had to say about the newspaper story when we asked him.
I knew it was coming. For several months, our ex-players have contacted us saying the Dallas Morning News has been calling them, asking them about certain things about our program that were negative, and we expected it, and we kind of expected it this week. It just so happens we play in the University of Texas in Dallas, so we've had a lot of negative stories come along at this time, but we do have problems. We've always had problems, and we address those, and the NCAA will look at them, and our institution will look at them, but I don't think that there's anything of serious nature, and it was certainly an expedition, a fishing expedition with the Dallas Morning News to do this at this time, and I don't think there's anything to it.
I think that the rest of the article is certainly worth mentioning. It was not just selling tickets, but they claimed that there were preferable loans made to football players to buy cars, and the president of the bank, or the former president, said we made those loans available to all students, and so the story has been denied as of now. 1st and 10 here. They did plunge for the 1st down, and again they bring Carr, the fullback, and Bobby Duncombe is there to tackle him for Texas.
Well, Brent, thus far in the first half, Texas has done everything it really needed to do. It survived actually 2 turnovers. It got on the scoreboard first, and they put Oklahoma in poor field position here again. Although Oklahoma came charging back with a score, they've had to go the long way.
All right, this will be 2nd and 5 for the Sooners. Holloway keeps it and got the 1st down.
You know, Brent, we talked about 3 games within the game. We already looked at the fullback game and the tackles. Here's the second game. This cornerback on the wide receiver. He is going to play him man-to-man all over the field all day long. They are really oblivious to whatever else is going on the field. Again, he runs him upfield, tries to wear him out. Later on in the game, they may go right by him for the deep ball.
For 2,000 yards, that's a new quarterback record at Oklahoma, and they bring Anthony Stafford straight ahead. I'm going to tell you, Hager, number 60. Number 60 has a great deal of meaning at Texas, Pat.
Well, the middle linebacker here has always worn the number. The great ones have. Jeff Lighting was an All-American. Tommy Nobis, of course. Fred Akers gave it to Hager a few years ago, and he's worn it pretty well.
Now 2nd and 7 yards to go for the Sooners. On the pitch, Collins breaks free inside the 35-yard line before Senegal runs him down. What a great block that Stafford threw that time to key that 34-yard run.
The big plays in college football come on the perimeter of the defense. The wishbone offense gets more plays to the perimeter than any other. And here is one. They're outnumbered. It's 2 against 1, and you can't do that against Oklahoma. A terrific block by the wide receiver, too, made this go just a bit further. Cabinet, number 83, right there, putting the block on the DB.
So it's 1st down. Holloway keeps it, and Hager brings him down inside the 35-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and long. The Sooners starting to exert themselves here, Mr. Hayden.
You know, Brendan, as you watch this wishbone operate, I think if the Los Angeles Lakers played football, they'd run the wishbone. But this is really a kind of a fast break football game plan. They get the ball in the perimeter, and they're gone.
Damon Stell checks in at right half, and Collins comes out. And they'll use Stell right away. He will not get free. Great pursuit that time by Beckelman, number 92. So it'll be 3rd and long. Cabinet bringing the play in. Stell is out against McWilliams' defense. I want to apologize for the poor quality of transmission you're experiencing right now. We're working on it. We'll get that corrected. Holloway keeps it, tries to get the corner turned, and cannot. That was Tony Griffin, the left corner, who rode him out into that Texas sideline.
Okay, if you defend the wishbone well, your defensive backs have to make a lot of tackles, particularly your free safety. You become like an extra linebacker.
So R.D. Lasher, the brother of last year's field goal specialist, who attempted here for the Sooners. This is a 46-yarder.
He attempted 2 all season.
They don't settle for field goals very often, this bunch. They get the 6s. And he has kicked a few extra points, though. Good. So Lasher builds the Oklahoma lead to 10-3. Oklahoma's Thompson to kick it off, and so far he has kicked it short. Kept it out of the hands of Metcalf and Jones. Let's see what he elects to do this time. Same thing. The kicking game plan, go to the short man. Samuels at the 24, and he is hammered down there at the 27-yard line.
I think that's good coaching by Barry Switzer. Don't let Metcalf beat you.
Now next week we're going to offer you a couple of games and split the country. Those of you in the East certainly want to see Penn State, how they've improved since that Alabama loss, and the unbeaten Syracuse Orangemen. How good are they? And then down here in this part of the country, the number 2 ranked team, Nebraska, will be taking on Oklahoma State, and the Cowboys playing well. 2:30 Eastern time for those 2 games on CBS.
Syracuse is one of those teams you don't hear much about, but boy, they play good defense. Tough place to play up there in the Carrier Dome.
Well, here's the offense this quarter, how the Sooners have turned it around. They have 8:42 to go in the first half. Stafford again with time. Penalty marker is down. Incomplete. He wanted Battle. There's a penalty flag thrown back at that protective pocket, and it will be a holding call against the Horns.
Old Darrell Reed, number 40, the defensive end, was claiming somebody got a takedown on him. Had his old helmet off. There he is. This guy has a chance to be the first time ever in the Big 8 to be all Big 8 4 years in a row. Likes to play. Really come off the corner.
What do you figure with this crowd? Some of them are still waking up from the party last night.
Long night last night.
What do they call it? Souse Eve?
Yeah, a lot of them will wait for that Northwestern score, too, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, they came in. They were out there in their Winnebagos, their cars. So it is 1st and 20 after that holding penalty. Metcalf goes in motion. And Norris goes nowhere. And I think you could hear the popping. Let's go downstairs to John Dockery. John?
Brent, thank you. Billy Sims, what's going on here? Oklahoma comes in as over 30-point favorites and they're having their problems.
That's all media hype. I don't care what the score is or what type of season it is. Always a tough game when Oklahoma and Texas get together.
But what about the offense? It's sputtering.
I think the offense is trying to do something different from what they normally do. It's just go back to their game plan and run the ball right at them. They'd be successful.
You're talking power football.
Power football, and I'm used to that at Oklahoma, so it's had to get back to that game plan.
Okay, Brent.
All right, thank you, John. Oh, Stafford did not fool Darrell Reed.
We just talked about Darrell Reed coming off the corner. He's a great point of attack type of player. Left to the screen, number 40. Now he is just too quick, and now Stafford, that is a naked bootleg, and you don't want to be doing that to Darrell Reed's side, I guarantee you. Not gonna fool him.
3rd down and 26.
Very important play here for Texas. The Oklahoma offense is too hot. They can't give them the ball back here before halftime.
Metcalf. Another great defensive play. This one by Williams. Out of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, number 93. And the OU defense made a great stand, and their fans who have traveled down here loving every tackle. Metcalf has carried the ball 6 times against this defense for no yards. And Waits backed up in his end zone this time. It's returnable, and Thompson's got it. Here's the freshman quarterback inside the 35-yard line. That's a 17-yard return by Thompson, and Oklahoma will have superb field position. They lead by 7. They gave up a field goal, and they have scored the last 2 times they've handled the ball, a touchdown and a field goal.
We said at the top of the game the most important thing was for Texas to stay close in the first half. If Oklahoma scores here, they're going to have trouble in the second half. So key defensive series.
You know, we spoke about last night and what happens around Dallas. One of the great party scenes, and earlier there was the tug of honor. And Holloway handing off to his fullback, in case you're wondering who won the tug of war. Texas beat OU.
The Oklahoma people claimed it was rigged, though, because the Oklahoma people had to wear orange life jackets.
Second down now here for Switzer and their crew. 7 yards to go. Well, the Texas defense has played well, but they can't be out on the field backed up against their own goal line all game long. Holloway keeps it on that option, and Hager stays with him. Boy, Hager is injured, isn't he? The way he's rolling on the turf. Might have been kicked getting up. He is having some duel right now with Holloway.
Here is Hager right here, but the key to the play really was the quick pressure on the outside by number 48, Dwayne Duncombe, who forces Holloway out of his normal lane. He messed up the relationship between the tailback, the pitchman, and the quarterback. But good play by Hager.
So 3rd and 10. Holloway, he'll keep it. Breaks free to the 20.
Boy, he picked up some terrific blocks by the inside of his line, and Holloway read the blocks beautifully. Second time this game on 3rd and long, they've gone with a quarterback draw. This is a huddle call, but he screened off a couple of players by the offensive lineman there, then he turned it up for the 1st down. Well read.
Bob Latham, the center, banged into Hager, the middle linebacker that time, and took him out of the play, and now Carr pounds into the middle of that Texas defense. Bobby Duncombe making the tackle, and the American League playoff game reaches the 7th inning with Minnesota jumping ahead of Detroit. Wouldn't that be something if the Twins went up 3-0 in that series? Detroit's bullpen, a real problem for Sparky Anderson, and for Barry Switzer, the Texas defense has been a problem here. He has got Oklahoma in 2nd and long again. 8 yards to go for the 1st down. Nothing has come easy for OU this afternoon. It's been like that.
And that's a big play by the defense. Now it puts Oklahoma now in a 3rd and about 8. They want to hold them to at least a field goal here with 4 minutes left.
Set up their first touchdown.
Without that play, this well might be a tie game or 6-3 right now. Oklahoma, if you give them a field goal on 4th down. Let's see what happens on this 3rd down. Here is the pitch now. Stafford trying to get the corner. He might have been short of that 1st down. We'll see where they spot it. Senegal chasing. It will depend entirely on the spot.
But Brett, that was a perfect example of the wishbone. It was 2-on-1 on the corner of the defense. He had a blocker and the ball carrier on one defensive back.
Got it.
Okay, Oklahoma's halfbacks are sensational blockers. You can see here, watching the corner of the defense, there's 2-on-1 right now. See, Patrick Collins, number 33, blocks the defensive back pretty well. Now that allows Stafford to get to the outside, pick up the 1st down. Now, I think that's a kind of a bad mark.
I think that's why the crowd was booing in the background. They thought his feet went out of bounds, but the ball was spotted where he dove. But anyway, it's 1st down here for Oklahoma, and they come with Carr. He breaks one tackle, but then could not get free as Duncombe, Dwayne Duncombe, and Senegal come up on the hit from McWilliams.
Come on. Now we're going to take another look here. I think maybe Stafford's feet actually were out of bounds before the marker. Yeah, he is out of bounds before the marker. That was a bad mark by the official.
Now it's 2nd and goal. Here comes Collins. He'll be out of bounds at the 5-yard line. That was Hagee.
I tell you, that mark, it becomes a critical play, I think, down here.
Well, they're going to be left with a 3rd and goal. Strong performance by the Texas defense. One big play, a pass to the tight end, and then a questionable mark keeps them back on their heels. And the offense for the Longhorns has been unable to keep any pressure off the defense. As a result, Oklahoma leads at 10-3, and they're driving for still another score. Pat Hayden, now how do they split the tickets? We've got a total of 75,000 here.
It is right down the middle, 50-50. So somebody's happy every play, I guess, huh?
Barry Switzer wants to move the game up to Norman every other year. It's said to be worth $6 or $7 million to the merchants up there. It's 10-3. The Sooners leading the Longhorns. 2:41 to go in a half. And here comes a 3rd and 5 for Holloway and friends. He'll throw. Touchdown, Jackson. And a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage.
And I think that's offensive interference. I think Jackson pushed off.
There is a flag on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And the folks wearing burnt orange appear to be happier than the ones in red, so I'm assuming you're right.
Yeah, it looks like Keith Jackson actually pushed off. They were trying to use his height advantage. He's 6'3" and can leap. The ball really didn't have enough air on it.
There's the personal foul signaled against the defense. And here's the push off. It's offsetting penalties. Offsetting penalties. There was that penalty, which Pat pointed out, but there was also a personal foul against Texas. So they'll offset one another. The ball will be put back on the 5-yard line, and we'll have a 3rd and goal. A do-over, if you will. Now they put Jackson on the left side for Coach Switzer. He's looking for him again, and he is hammered as he releases the ball. That was Richard who got in on him, the right cornerback.
Big play by the Texas defense, forcing the field goal attempt.
Boy, he really got in Holloway's helmet, didn't he?
A lot of inside quick pressure on Holloway. He hangs in the pocket pretty well, though. He felt it, but he hung in there pretty well, but just gets splattered.
So Oklahoma to attempt another field goal or a fake. Lasher. It would be 22 yards. Hammers it up there. Another 3. Well, it's 13-3. Sooners over the Longhorns. 2:28 to go in the first half.
Another look here at the pass interference call on Keith Jackson. Watch his left hand as he pushes off on the free safety, John Hagee. And the ball, you can see his left hand right here, push him forward. That's why Hagee stumbles forward. The ball was thrown upfield more, he might have had a chance.
Well, here comes Thompson to kick it off again. Everything has been short. Coming down at about the 20, they may want to send Metcalf up there soon. Metcalf is talking to the up back too. Coming up at the half, the Prudential College Football Report. Jim Nance in New York. Here's that short kickoff. Metcalf comes up behind him, tries to field it, and it goes out of bounds, so it'll be a 5-yard penalty against Oklahoma.
Well, you called it. That's exactly what they were trying to do, is have Metcalf come up. It was dangerous, though, because he has a long way to go from way back.
Well, of course, at the conclusion of today's game, we will select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player from each team, and Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of both Texas and Oklahoma.
As we think about Texas's next drive, they still have 2 timeouts with 2:28 left. They haven't generated much offense other than their first drive. Stafford needs to hit a couple of passes.
I'll tell you what they're doing this time. They have moved Metcalf up to the 26-yard line. They have quickly changed he. You see number 23 there? He is the short man. That's Chris Samuels. This time, Metcalf comes out to the 25-yard line. Now, just as quickly, Thompson goes back and had something to say to the men on the kickoff team. So they reverse again. And Metcalf will go back. So the kickoff games continue here. And instead they'll go to the other side. Fumble. Robert Sullivan, number 47, fumbled the ball on that side. And Texas will come up with it at about the 27-yard line.
I'll tell you, that is one of the subtle things about football. Barry Switzer has made the decision he's not going to let Metcalf beat him, so he's going to kick to the ball the short man. Goes right through his hands. I think this is a very good coaching. It's like when you play Notre Dame, you don't punt the ball to Timmy Brown, in my estimation.
Number 86, Mark Semmelman, recovered that loose ball. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Texas. They trail Oklahoma, but only by 10 points. Now they slot Metcalf. Stafford looked at him, but he was covered, and he comes back the other way to Norris. And he is tackled there at the 25-yard line. Dante Jones, number 50, coming over on the tackle. Look at what's happened, how this game has turned around this quarter. The Sooner talent exerting itself as we thought it would. Stafford rolling to the left. Metcalf gives him some protection, and he drills the pass to Jones that time. It'll be marked there. Line. It'll be short of the first down. Clock down inside of 2 minutes here in the first half.
The hurry-up offense keeps Oklahoma's nickel defense off the field.
Stafford runs Metcalf on the draw for a first down, tries to break free and gets to the 45-yard line, and Vickers, number 10, a standout safety, brings him down after 11 yards. Clock is stopped at 1:38.
A well-run 2-minute drill thus far. 2 quick passes, then you give the ball on the draw to Metcalf. Nice sequencing of plays. Terrific cutback by Metcalf. The man can cut on a dime.
Stafford swings it out to Norris. Norris to midfield. Texas with 2 timeouts left and the clock running down to 1:10. They'll work this play at the line of scrimmage. Stafford quickly gets the snap count out. Here comes Metcalf again. Another first down. Breaks inside the 40. They'll stop the clock while they move the chains. A 12-yard run.
And again, one of the keys here is Oklahoma has been unable to get their nickel defense in.
Even a field goal would look mighty good for the Longhorns before intermission. Timeout is called by Oklahoma. The defense will go over and confer. So while we've got a break, let's take a look at these 2 fine schools, Oklahoma and Texas. .57 seconds and 2 timeouts for the Texas offense. The ball is down to the Oklahoma 38-yard line.
And Oklahoma called a timeout so they could bring in the 5th defensive back.
Stafford working with 3 wide receivers. Johnson. He's in there with Jones and Battle. They're the 3 wide men. Stafford runs the option, and Norris, the fullback, gets close to the 30-yard line. Clock down toward 40 seconds. Rolling to the right. Incomplete. In and out of Johnson's hands. He should have made that.
I think Lonnie Finch may have gotten a hand on it, Brent, the defensive back, who read the pattern. Defensive backs will sit back when they see a man out in the flat. They know the wide receiver is going to run a curl. He read the pattern and drove on it.
So it'll be 3rd down. 3 yards to go for the first down. 30 seconds and 2 timeouts.
But with 2 timeouts, they can run 2 plays on the ground and pick up the first down and then decide what they want to do.
That's Metcalf. Norris on the draw, short of that first down, I believe, depending on where they spot the ball. Let's see where they put it down. So one of 2 timeouts being used with 24 seconds to go. So many great players have come through this rivalry, such as Steve Owens. Do you remember him? And what happened to Steve? He scored more points in 1 year, 138, than any other Oklahoma player. Went on to win the Heisman Trophy, played for Detroit, and he was the first player on the Lions to rush for more than 1,000 yards plus in a single season. Well, he now lives in Norman, Oklahoma, and he certainly remembers playing in Dallas during the State Fair. Here's what Steve had to say from his office there.
The whole environment of the State Fair, there's so many people there, there's so many things going on, just the excitement of the crowd.
Like Texas now will try the field goal rather than try to get the first down. I think this is a good call by David McWilliams. Important for his team to get at least 3 more on the board before halftime.
46-yard field goal. 24 seconds to go. Got a strong leg, doesn't he? That's 2 for him. Texas still in it on the scoreboard.
Well, they've
field goals for Wayne Clements, and it is 13-6.
And they've made it close here in the first half. If you ask David McWilliams what you wanted, this is the kind of score he wanted at halftime, but almost blocked. Oklahoma can put tremendous pressure on the kicker. It's number 29, the free safety, Dixon, coming in, who almost got a piece of it.
So now 17 seconds to go. 1 timeout remaining. The Texas kicking team huddling with the assistant coaches. And we'll see what they might do to keep the clock ticking here in this situation and not give. First thing they have to do is go to the correct side of the field. And
That's rather fundamental, isn't it?
Yeah, to get that straightened out, and we'll be all right. That's what they've accomplished, but I want to tell you, keep one thing in mind. They didn't score touchdowns. They were forced to kick field goals, and they got down to the 5-yard line once, and that Texas defense held. I think I'm more impressed with the Texas defense than I expected to be so far in this game. They have played their hearts out here, haven't they, Pat?
Well, the tackles, the inside people have played very, very well.
But they're matched against number 1, and Oklahoma will prove it. I mean, they are loaded. They'll kick it on the ground. It's fielded there at the 13-yard line and run out of bounds by Bernard Hall. Interesting story. Bernard Hall came out of Detroit, Michigan as a quarterback, was shifted to running back. They've got so many running backs there that Barry Switzer has made him a tight end. There is the heir apparent to Keith Jackson. He says, oh, he'll go about 240, 245.
Run 4.3, yeah. And that's not downhill either.
Yeah, I wonder about those Oklahoma players. They time them all downhill.
I guess.
And can you believe Stafford 4.29? He should be headed for Korea and the Olympics next year. Moving like that. Here comes Jamel Holloway. 15 seconds left. They'll just run the clock out, and they'll take this 7-point lead on into the locker room. They're not going to serve up an interception and give Clements an opportunity to kick a 3rd field goal. That's the end of a surprising first half. The Texas Longhorns hang tough. They trail Oklahoma by only 7 points. They were a 30-point underdog. Now, the biggest play of this game, and the difference so far, came on this 3rd down pass from Jamel Holloway to his great tight end, Keith Jackson. Jackson working deep. Fine pass, a splendid catch, and from there on the next play, Oklahoma scored. Jim Nantz will be along, the College Football Report, after this message and a word from your local stations. It's a beautiful day here in Dallas. The second half about ready to start, and John Dockery was able to talk to the coach, David McWilliams of Texas, and here's what he had to say.
Coach, I just asked you about the first half. How would you describe it?
Well, I thought we lost our intensity a little bit in the second quarter. They made 2 good drives on us, you know, but I tell you, we got it back there right before the second half. We came down and got that field goal, and I think that we're going to come out with a little more enthusiasm because of that the second half. But, you know, they did a good job of moving the ball inside on us. I worry about, you know, them being so much bigger and experienced. But I feel good right now going into the second half.
Thank you, Coach.
He'll get the ball to start the second half. Thompson with the ball on the tee for Oklahoma. They replaced the linebacker as the short man, and Norris, the Texas fullback, standing at the 20-yard line. They go to Chris Samuels. He's a backup tailback, trying to come to the far side and get an alley. And Texas will have the ball near the 33-yard line, 1st and 10. Let's go downstairs and find out from John. What did Barry Switzer have to say coming out, Doc?
Well, Brent, I talked to Barry, and basically what he said, he was disappointed that his team wasn't able to take advantage of those 2 turnovers. But basically, he said, we have a solid scheme, we're going to keep after them, and in the long run, we will prevail. Now back to you, Brent.
All right, John, thank you. And Pat, you know, the offensive coordinator of Texas was able to keep the defense off balance pretty much in the opening quarter. Then in the second quarter, I think you've got to credit the offensive assistants for Oklahoma with changing up. So let's see how this unfolds now. Stafford, the Texas quarterback, high formation. He'll throw again on 1st down. Complete. He hits Battle. That's 12 yards and a 1st down.
You know, and as good a play as that was, had the ball gotten there earlier to Battle, he could have turned right up the field. Great protection again by the Texas offensive line. See, he's open early in the middle. He throws the ball late to him and leads him so far outside. The momentum keeps him, runs him outside. Stafford takes a big blow. I think it was Darrell Reed on the outside, too, after he threw the ball.
The ball is at the 44 for this 1st down. 3 wide receivers have gone all the way. This is Metcalf jitterbugging to the 46-yard line. So we get a final. Detroit back in that championship hunt. They trail Minnesota 2-1 as Pat Sheridan wins it with a home run. So welcome to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. Along with John Dockery and Pat Hayden, I'm Brett Musburger. Have we got a surprise here? Yes, Oklahoma leads, but only by 7 points. The 3rd quarter just got underway. Off the play fake, Stafford has had time. Down the middle, intercepted. The 3rd interception, 2 by Vickers. Vickers loose at midfield, looking for an alley. And Vickers out of bounds inside the 30. There is a penalty flag down on the near side of the field. Around the 35-yard line, a penalty marker is down.
Well, Stafford threw 2 interceptions the 1st half that were not his fault, but this one is, because the strong safety Vickers is standing there the whole time, read the pattern beautifully, saw the crossing route, and just stepped up for the easy interception. The Oklahoma safeties read patterns very, very well.
And Jones is only 139 pounds, so he had a lot of trouble trying to bring Vickers down. Vickers is a 200-pound senior, and that was a mismatch. But the penalty is going against Oklahoma.
It was a roughing the passer penalty, and again, another big break for the Texas team. We saw him get hit a little bit earlier. Yeah, the ball is clearly gone there. Good
that
call.
Defender did not at all affect the bad pass. We'll see if we can get a number. If whoever that defensive lineman was, I see 9, the first number, but I don't want to guess. We'll see if we get one from another angle. It is possible that it was Dante Williams, number 98, the nose guard. We get that confirmed now from our technicians in the tape truck. The sophomore nose guard. Dante Williams ripped into him. A big break for the Longhorns. They're inside the Oklahoma 40-yard line. You can hear the OU fans in the background. The Horns down by 7. Metcalf in motion. Complete to him. Almost spinning free at the 35. I'll tell you, Vickers is playing a whale of game at safety. He just would not let go. Now, for those of you who perhaps have been watching the baseball, Nebraska easily. They were favored by almost 50. How about Auburn beating Vanderbilt here this afternoon? Florida State bouncing back from the disappointment of a week ago. And in a dogfight in the Southeast, tied with a field goal apiece. Clemson stays unbeaten and untied. And would you believe that? I mean, Indiana didn't beat them. They thrashed them. And Michigan State leading Michigan right now. So on second down on that draw play, Metcalf squirts free. First down for Texas. Would you believe what's happening?
The first series in every half is always the most important. Texas got a break, of course, on the penalty after the interception, but now the momentum is on their favor. What they need now is to go down and get 7 points. Don't settle for 3 here. A nice little call. Get the ball to your best player, Eric Metcalf. They've thrown the ball downfield a couple times. That time he got a good block. Allowed himself to slip through a crease there.
The 3 wide receivers are Johnson, Cash and Jones, and Metcalf goes up on a wing. Norris, the blocking back. Stafford under trouble, steps away from pressure and throws to Metcalf. Now Washington shutting out Arizona State in the second quarter. Penn State with Blair Thomas scoring 3 touchdowns. Blair Thomas has been red hot the last few weeks. Alabama in the fourth quarter tied with Memphis State. Coach Curry had to change quarterbacks down there a couple weeks ago, and look at Florida and Oklahoma State. So we have run through the top 20 now. And here is a second down and 5. Again, he has plenty of time. Incomplete over the middle, intended for Metcalf. He was crossing over into the middle for Coach McWilliams, and Casper, the linebacker, had the coverage.
I think it's really important, though, for Texas in this series not to get the field goal. So this is and the touchdown instead. They're down by 7. This is a very important play at 3rd and 5.
Well, they are going to send it in. Stephen Clark will bring it in from the sideline. They use a lot of hand signals, but Johnson comes far to the left. Jones goes up to the right. 5 yards for that first down. Stafford. He's got it. He's got Clark. That's a first down at the 15-yard line. They'll spot the ball there. So Clark brought the play in from the sideline, and it was his own number.
And it was a nice call because the defense is putting pressure on from the outside. Darrell Reed from the backside haven't given him pressure, so they roll away from Darrell Reed and gives Stafford a little bit more time to find Clark for an easy first down. They had run that play about 4 times earlier, but thrown to the wide receiver.
Now sometimes they'll look for Metcalf and come with the fullback, Norris. Let's see what the Horns come up with. Here's Norris. He gets across the 15, down close to the 13. Curtis Williams, 93, bringing him down. This is a performance that you can build a program on. And Switzer was uneasy about being installed as a 31-point favorite early in the week. And
some drop, right? Here comes the second down. 9 yards to go for the first down. They line him in the eye. Johnson turning around. Stafford again with time, and it's intercepted by Oklahoma. Only Norris and Stafford
can get him out of bounds. Ricky Dixon saves the moment.
Just said the Oklahoma safeties do a good a job as reading patterns as anybody I have seen. Dixon, he is the free safety. He read that pattern earlier. That's the same pattern they threw the first down just a moment ago. But Dixon was not fooled that time and made a nice play on the ball. Here is the safety Dixon at the top right. Here is the man in motion. He's going to run out in the flat. It's the same pattern they ran for the first down just a moment ago. He reads it and steps in front. He's off to the races.
Stepping in front of Battle, returns at 50 yards. 1st and 10 for the Sooners. Wishbone fumble. They go in to unpile them. And Oklahoma retains possession, second down.
The reason you see the Oklahoma quarterback fumble so many snaps from center, and they've done this for years, is because they're getting out underneath the center so quickly, trying to get the ball to the fullback, or at least the fake. It happens so quickly, they fumble the ball an awful lot. They have ever since they've begun to run the wishbone.
Now second down for Holloway. Collins and Stafford are his halfbacks. Carr the fullback. Holloway keeps it, and he cannot get away from Duncombe. Hackamack, 68, also coming across, along with Duncombe, 46.
Will be third and long. They put Oklahoma's wishbone into a passing situation, leading by only 7 points here. 9:50 to go. Cabin is out far to the left.
Only one running back, the fullback, Carr. Holloway going for Cabanis. Touchdown, Oklahoma. They are naked on the corner defensively against that wishbone, Pat.
But on 3rd and 13, you always have to have a free safety in the middle of the field. You can't do that on 3rd and 13.
Lasher to attempt the extra point. Third quarter, lightning strikes in Dallas. Two huge plays. An interception and then a touchdown pass by Holloway as Cabanis broke from the left side into the middle. And it was 6 points on a perfect throw from Holloway.
Now we'll see how Texas responds. A year ago, they quit.
Well, we apologize for the audio difficulties. We'll work on that. 3 plays, 40 yards, and it was Cabanis for the score. What happened to the free safety? They broke the bone.
Well, on 3rd and 13, the free safety really has to be in the center of the field, but they went for man-to-man coverage, and he jumps on the back, who's lined up in a wing position, and there's a huge gap in the middle of the field. Again, on 3rd and 13, you need someone back there giving the corner some help. No inside help for the corner. It's an easy throw and catch.
So the big play gets the touchdown for Oklahoma. They lead Texas 20-6. 9:29 to go in the third. That short kickoff. Fair catch, which you can call for on a kickoff at the 29-yard line. Have a moment here. Let me remind you, tomorrow we'll be on at 12:30 Eastern time. The NFL Today, Terry Bradshaw will be in our New York studio. We'll talk about the strike and then our games. We have a doubleheader tomorrow at CBS, and we will also feature a couple of late games. Washington against the Giants and San Francisco against Atlanta. We'll start our coverage at 12:30 Eastern time. So now Brett Stafford stays in at quarterback. Rolling here. He has Johnson open. He throws to Norris, the underneath man, and he's out of bounds at the 35-yard line. So disheartening for Stafford and the Texas offense. They were driving for a possible touchdown the last time out when they threw still another interception.
Well, that is Stafford's 3rd interception. Remember, he had 1 called back, though, and you have to wonder at what time does McWilliams go to his backup, Shannon Kelly, who he's very high on as well.
Clark turns back around. Norris comes through for the first down. Ball will be spotted around the 40. Let's get downstairs to John Dockery. John. He's standing there with Earl Campbell, and obviously I don't hear Earl.
Switzer said he was the best he's ever seen.
But the one thing he can't do is talk without a microphone. He can do everything else. All right, now we got a first down after that short burst. Stafford under heavy pressure scrambles away from it, intercepted. Had a man open and could not get it over Troy Johnson's head. There is a penalty.
Brent Stafford has now thrown 4 interceptions. 2 of them have been his fault. 2 of them have been his receiver's fault. But I think McWilliams is going to have to make a change. This time he just kind of forced the ball. It's a tough throw when you run into your left, but he forced the ball.
You know, Pat, I noticed earlier in the play he had a wide man open, and he didn't pick him up too earlier in that.
And he wasn't patient enough in the pocket. He scrambled around there when it really wasn't a heavy rush.
So the face mask penalty goes against Texas, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Oklahoma, and the ball is at the 38.
And Stafford stepped up into the pocket. He really had time to throw the ball, but he got a little happy feet in there and broke the coverage.
And you can see that Metcalf was open to Collins straight ahead. That play worked back in the second quarter, and they pound to the 31-yard line with Britt Hager, number 60, making the stop. Now let's try John Dockery again with Earl Campbell. Doc?
Thank you, Brent. He needs no introduction. And Earl, you've had some fond memories of this series and some dark memories. Tell me about it.
Well, I think my darkest memory probably was, first of all, when we was playing in my junior year, we had a chance to win and I fumbled. The greatest memory probably my senior year when I hurled a guy here at the Cotton Bowl on the left side.
Wait a second, let's go back to this play.
That looked like Earl Campbell. Lydell Carr gave us his impression of Earl Campbell and rambled in 32 yards for another Sooner score. And now Lasher to kick the extra point. Pulls it, but it was through. There's something, aren't they? When they get it rolling, boy. I'm here to tell you, these Sooners are something.
Watch John Phillips, number 66, pick up a very nice block. Great block by Phillips, and there's Lydell Carr. You know, you're so concerned about the outside options, you forget that Carr at fullback can run 4-4 from that position.
Well, Oklahoma makes like an NBA team. 14 points in a minute 16. And Coach McWilliams of Texas is forced to make a decision. And his backup quarterback, number 7, Shannon Kelly, puts on a helmet. And he is standing there nearby, ready to enter the game. As you can see what has happened here as a result of those Texas turnovers. Thompson to kick it off. He has been kicking short throughout this game. As for Carr, he has scored twice for the Sooners, and he has rushed 13 times for 75 yards. It's 27-6, Oklahoma. And this time with a big lead, they take it deep. Metcalf stands in front of Jones, comes up the middle. That little delay got him an alley. He's something. He reminds you of his daddy, doesn't he? Out to the 35, and now entering the game for the first time will be Shannon Kelly. He is a 6'1" junior out of Houston, Texas.
And Brett, he's played well this year against BYU, brought his team down for 2 scores when they were behind. Probably a better thrower than Stafford and playing certainly with more confidence.
Michigan State beating Bo and the Wolverines at the half of that game. And here Texas trailed only by 7 at their half. But they have given up a couple of quick touchdowns. It doesn't take Kelly long. Over the middle, complete with his first pass to Tony Jones. A 19-yard gain. Ricky Dixon makes the stop.
I'll tell you, most backup quarterbacks, when they come in, they want to throw the little screen pass to get the completion. But boy, he comes right down in the first game and throws the ball downfield.
So Shannon Kelly takes control, down by 21. The Longhorns have kicked 2 field goals in this game. Working with the 3 wide receivers. Kelly's going to put it up again. His receivers were covered. He's forced to run, and he is downed at the 48 by Scott Evans, a defensive tackle.
You know, as much as Oklahoma has been ahead this year and in years past, their defense gets a lot of practice in this kind of situation. Now they have 5 defensive backs in. They love this situation, of course, because teams have to drop back and throw.
McWilliams using the draw play frequently in the first half, but down by 21. He needs all the seconds he can get. Three wide receivers run the option with him. Fumble. And recovered by Texas as it went out of bounds. The ball will be marked back there at the 48-yard line. So another loss on the play as Shannon Kelly is belted on the option.
3rd and 17. The real heat from the Oklahoma defense has come from the outside. If he continues to step up in the pocket, he'll have time to try to find a receiver downfield.
So running through some of the schools in the top 20. That's the shocker today. Indiana beating Ohio State. Penn State. Many of you will watch Penn State against unbeaten Syracuse. That's one of our games next week. The other game we're going to be covering will be Nebraska and Oklahoma State. Kelly under fire, won't get it off. Yes, he does. He hit Norris, the fullback. And they get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, you have to like Kelly. He's come up with 2 pretty good plays in his first series.
So the punting team comes on. Alex Waits, the sophomore from Plano, Texas. When the score was 13-6, Texas was driving for what would have been or could have been the tying touchdown when they threw an interception. The ball was picked off by Oklahoma, and they came back 50 yards. Ricky Dixon intercepted the ball, and that set up the touchdown pass to Cavanis. Then a short time ago, they scored again. That was Carr. We'll be right back. That's the hard life of the American striker. Life on the picket line is certainly difficult. 6:25 to go, and Bosworth's Oklahoma Sooners in control of Texas 27-6. Here's Waits. He rips that punt. Fielded. Faked inside the 5. Goes on in. A 46-yard punt. Well, let's go to New York and an update. And here's Jim Nance. Jim?
Well, Brett, we've already seen Ohio State upset today. Now Alabama joins the upset ranks as Memphis State wins it 13-10. John Butler's 47-yard field goal with 8.5 minutes to go won it for the Tigers. The Crimson Tide committed 4 turnovers, including a last-second interception, and Alabama's record now drops to 4-2. Let's go back to Brent and Pat.
How about that, Pat?
Unbelievable to me. We saw Alabama look so good at the beginning of the year, didn't we?
Didn't think anybody could shut down Humphrey after we watched him. This is Collins, 33.
Yeah, the real issue now for Texas is they got to make sure they don't quit. This is the kind of game where it's easy to quit, and it happened in last year's game. But David McWilliams has brought a new attitude to this team. He wants his team fighting every play, no matter what the score is.
He's trailing Oklahoma 27-6. 5:50 left in the third. You know, Anthony Stafford, number 25, he hasn't shown us that great speed yet. And Holloway goes deep, incomplete. He tried to break Keith Jackson up the middle that time, and they had him one-on-one with Senegal, number 5. Well, here's what Oklahoma has accomplished with its last 6 possessions. They're favored in this game by 30, and they lead it 27-6.
You know, they can really do that to you. They can run it up, and you have to be careful that your offense doesn't give it the 3 and punt, because once their offense is on a roll, there's just no stopping them.
You know, the way they run the ball, I'm not so sure I don't want them passing.
You're right.
Here's Carr pounding out, but he'll be short of that first down. Oklahoma will punt.
And you wonder whether Texas should go for the block punt. They felt coming into this game they had a chance to try to block a punt. And here's a man that's only punted 10 times all year. He may not even get a letter.
But he's going to get a workout kicking off for this team, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's right.
You get a tired leg one way or the other.
Most time played on the extra points.
There he is, Todd Thompson. Whistle. Did he run the 25-second clock out?
It was illegal procedure on the left guard.
Now they had 8 men up on the line.
Offense, fourth down.
They did not show that 10-man front.
Yeah,
They have a tremendous punt returner in Metcalf.
Yeah, but I think at this stage of the game, you take a chance, you go after the punt block.
Now, the one thing they need to do against Switzer, if they're going to get back in it, is score quickly. They've been haven't been able to score a touchdown yet. Look at that heat coming off this new carpet here in the Cotton Bowl. They're going to try to get Metcalf a return. He runs up on it. He's something. Out of bounds. 12-yard return on a 35-yard punt. You know, recruiting is so important in Texas for Oklahoma. Berry making a living in this state. That's how his team breaks down. 37 of his players coming out of Texas. I know that great Oklahoma fans like Earl Stone up there in Connecticut, they remember when Big Jim Weatherall went across the Red River. He was the first one. That long line has continued ever since. So it's 1st and 10 for the Horns. Shannon Kelly brings him up to the line. Working with the 3 wide men. Faking to Metcalf. Intercepted. He overthrew his receiver Johnson, who was wide open. And Crudup brings back the interception.
That's Crudup's 3rd of the year. These guys feast off these kinds of situations. That ball was not well thrown by Kelly. Pretty good protection here again, though, for Kelly. And the nice thing that he does, which I like, you see him step up into the pocket. The ball clearly overthrown, trying to hit Battle. And Crudup makes an easy play on the ball.
Oh, the turnovers have killed this Texas team. The defense has played its heart out. Now they're forced to defend there with the ball at the Texas 35-yard line.
Now, the only thing from Oklahoma's standpoint that this game is good for them is that their first team has been able to play, well, probably at least 3 full quarters. They haven't really been tested so far this year.
That Oklahoma coaching staff working on it under Berry.
He's up by 21 too. Boy, I hate to see him when he's down.
Yeah, these group of athletes, remember, at Oklahoma, they've lost to only 1 school and 2 games in the last couple of years plus. On that wishbone with Carr, the fullback, pounding down to the.
Bringing him down. We've got time to present this week's Toyota Leadership Award. Those have been singled out by the coaching and faculty staff for their
performance in areas of team contributions and academics. And today's leadership winners are Keith Jackson from Oklahoma. We know about his football ability, but he's a communications major from Little Rock, Arkansas. And Lee Beckelman from Texas. He's a finance major from Hearst, Texas. Both excellent students. And Jamel Holloway with the keeper being brought down. And just to conclude.
Check in the amount of $1,000 to each school. General Scholarship Fund. That time there is remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
Jamel Holloway has really impressed me with his toughness. Seeing him again break a couple of tackles by the middle linebacker. The quarterback, the wishbone, gets hit more than any other player. He's been able to take the punishment for 3 years now.
It's 3rd and 4 for Holloway. He's got the first and then some.
Inside the 10-yard line.
And what a terrific block he got by Patrick Collins, number 33, his halfback.
A penalty flag thrown.
You're going to see the run by Holloway, but number 33 is out in front. He makes a sensational block. Cleared the alley there for Holloway. You find more alleys in this wishbone, open alleys, than you're ever going to see in any game. Here's the block by Patrick, number 33. You have to be a great blocker to play at Oklahoma. God, I've seen them do that time and time again. Makes it easy.
And a personal foul being tacked on against Texas. This ball will be spotted at the 4-yard line. Again, we're working to clear up the audio problems. He's into it. Holloway, he won't get it. Out of bounds. It'll be second and goal.
The one thing they do say, a team say about Oklahoma is down here that Holloway likes to keep the ball. He likes to be dancing in the end zone. The one way to stop this option is to string it out. That's what Texas defense does here. Watch how many orange jerseys play down the line of scrimmage. No place for Holloway to go.
Looks like they've at least stripped him of his name. What Jamel have to do? Go to a backup jersey? He's as good a wishbone quarterback as they've seen at Oklahoma. Carried 15 times for 70 yards.
And he may be hurt there. Looks like they're holding his left elbow or shoulder.
You know, I think the ref made him leave because that left arm is bleeding. I think it was the referee who detected that. You can see the trainer. You bet that's blood there. He may have cut himself going out of bounds. Watch and see.
Maybe on the yard marker, maybe.
Yeah, something over there might have cut his arm. And so now Charles Thompson and the folks, they get another great athlete in at quarterback. He's a freshman out of Lawton, Oklahoma. He hands it off and Collins bangs in. Touchdown for the Sooners.
The Oklahoma backs are such complete backs. We saw a moment ago how Patrick Collins made that terrific block for Holloway, and they've got tremendous speed too. One thing you really don't see him do much is catch the ball.
Well, looks like they're rushing Holloway back toward the locker room. There they go off the field. So I'm sure that John Dockery will track that story down as Lasher adds the extra point. It's 34-6 Oklahoma.
Power Oklahoma football. Look at the center. Latham as he comes off the ball. And Brent, you talked about this offensive line, how good they were. 3 perhaps All-Americans in the front for Oklahoma.
Well, Jamel Holloway injured, and John Dockery, what's the problem?
Here's the problem, Brent. He has a little gash in his arm, in the back of his arm, up behind his tricep, about that deep. And they took him to the locker room to probably stitch it. He's not seriously hurt by any stretch. He was bleeding a little bit. They just took him in.
Thank you, John. You know, one of the concerns when you play on a carpet is infection with an open wound. I can remember Jim Everett, now with the Rams. I believe he was playing at Minnesota. I don't want to say that for certain, but he had an elbow problem, and they tore it back open, and they think maybe there was a tobacco juice stain there. He scraped across it. It became infected, and it was really swollen one week, a tremendous problem for him. So they must be careful with something like that. Another short kick. Samuels fields it, and he gets out to the 32-yard line. I want to show you this power football, Pat.
And this is the second team center. This is Mark Vandersbilk. He comes off the ball and great leverage. See how he gets down and gets underneath Haggard, the middle linebacker? That allows him to drive him back 4 or 5 yards. That's the second team offensive line in there. But remember, the Texas defense has been on the field way too long.
So the Sooners lead it by 28 with 2:20 to go, and Brett Stafford checks back in as the Texas quarterback. Stafford returns to quarterback the Horns, and they'll run Metcalf on a delay, and boy, he is something. Out to the 44. We have seen tremendous running performances, Humphrey amongst them, but I think that Metcalf might be as dangerous as anybody we've looked at, Pat.
Well, he's certainly awfully quick. Now, they haven't used him as much as a receiver this year. Last year he caught 42 balls, and he has that ability to turn a 5-yard reception into 70 yards.
He's a junior. Out of a little double wing. They sent him out as a receiver this time, and it's a short gain, out of bounds there at the 46-yard line. So the Horns were rolling along, playing the likes of Oregon State and Rice, and today a little bit different opponent. Only 6 points so far, 2 field goals.
I'm happy to see Brett Stafford back in because it is a long season. They still have the whole Southwest Conference schedule ahead of them, and you need to be confident to play the position of quarterback. This is a chance for him to get back and get some confidence back.
Stafford's a senior, and Coach McWilliams said he has already heard from a highly touted high school recruit in Texas. Going to come there. He hits Metcalf. Metcalf first down inside the 40-yard line. You know, Pat, you mentioned that the question was going to be whether or not this team would quit. I don't see any quit in them yet.
I tell you, that's the worst thing you can call an athlete is a quitter. And that's what happened last year to this team in this game. But McWilliams has them playing, it looks like, for the full 4 quarters.
Got a minute and a half left here. Boy, how quickly fortunes can change, and it shows you how good this Oklahoma team is. They were leading by 7. They got the interception, and bang, in a minute 15 they had scored 2 quick touchdowns. They broke Texas at heart just like that. Norris, the fullback, is hammered. Dante Jones.
Well, you know, we haven't talked enough about the Oklahoma defense, but Dante Jones has stuffed about 4 plays before they had any chance of developing. Well, he's the guy that filled in for Bosworth so well in the Orange Bowl last year.
Johnny Walker in the game at flanker. He's a freshman out of San Antonio. Out to the right. Stafford forced to scramble. Gets free, and he hits Walker for a first down.
Oh, yeah, but he had him for a touchdown.
14 yards. That's a couple of times you felt he should have thrown touchdown passes.
Well, yeah, there was nobody upfield. Johnny Walker wanted the ball led upfield because there was nobody even close to him. He could have scored very easily. Top of the screen is Johnny Walker. We'll get to that in a minute.
Metcalf on the draw. Down at the 20-yard line. Troy Johnson.
Again, top of the screen, you're going to see Johnny Walker. And what would happen when Stafford, he's right here. When Stafford started scrambling around, all the defensive backs came up, and Walker was open easily for the touchdown behind him. Now watch when Stafford scrambles. The defensive backs step up. Look, see? Easy touch. But the ball is way underthrown. That's been the difference.
Well, the end of the 3rd quarter. It is Oklahoma 34, Texas 6. College football on CBS returns after this message and a word from your local station. And deep in the heart of Texas, they do tend to raise things big down here, don't they, Mr. Hayden?
Saying, go on home.
Send me your linebackers. Stafford pulls out, incomplete. Wanted Metcalf, but was working behind the linebacker that time.
You know, Brent, as we watch this Texas offense, they want to throw the football this year, but I'm not sure they're talented enough to do that on a consistent basis. And as good as their defense is, I'd like to see them really run the ball more.
Well, they've got a great tailback in Metcalf. Norris, the fullback, has had his moments. But they don't even line up with a couple of tight ends. They show you the 3 wideouts, and they have all game. And this is the 3rd down. Clark Off the option, here's Norris. Short of the first down. Now here comes Wayne Clements.
That surprises me.
Off the sideline. They're going to kick the field goal.
Why not go for it? Yeah, 3 points is not going to do you much here. It's fourth and about 5.
Might do something for pride if you don't lose by more than the 30 that you were supposed to.
Yeah.
It's 34-6. A whole lot of folks either do or don't like this decision. 36 yards, unless it's a fake. He's got a strong leg. So it's the third field goal for Clements. It's 34-9. We'll continue. One horse said to the other horse, they won't let us have any fun since that Orange Bowl. Yeah, I know we should have been more careful that night. We cost Barry a field goal. Might have been a ball game. Meanwhile, what did Bevo think about that field goal rather than going for the touchdown?
He was not happy. I was not happy either. Bevo and I are thinking along the same lines.
34-9. We've got 14 minutes to go down here in the Cotton Bowl. Stafford and Hall back deep. Line drive kickoff. Stafford scooping it up. He's got great speed. But he could not bust to the open field, and I thought if maybe he would have come to the left rather than the right. It was all daylight on that return. Let's go downstairs to John Dockery. John.
Thank you, Brent. I'm with Gil Brandt from the Dallas Cowboys. And Gil, as you look at this Oklahoma team, in terms of pro potential, just how good are they?
Well, John, they'll probably have 14 or 15 players either drafted or signed as free agents this year. They'll probably have 3 first-round draft choices. Ricky Dixon, who made the key turnover, is a first-round choice, as is Dante Jones and the tight end Keith Jackson.
Gil, let's go back upstairs for a minute. Then I want to ask you something about the strike.
We'll be right down, John. The fullback pounds away. Hey, John, I'll tell you how good this Oklahoma team is. I'd make them about 7 over half the replacement teams tomorrow. Let's go back down to you and Gil.
Brent was just saying that he thinks this Oklahoma team might beat any number of the replacement teams in the NFL at this moment.
Well, we may change uniforms and let them play tomorrow.
Let me ask you this seriously. Is there any end in sight to the strike?
Well, I hope there is, but I don't think it's going to happen next week or the week after. Unfortunately, I think the players have a belief that it's going to happen, but I don't think that will come.
Thank you, Gil. Brent?
There goes Thompson. There is a penalty marker down at midfield. Freshman quarterback Charles Thompson runs 35 yards. And one of their star guards, whom John Dockery and Gil Brandt were talking about, John Phillips, was shaken up back there.
He may just have some cramps, maybe.
Now, tell the family story about his brother and the line and how they made the shifts here today.
Well, Anthony Phillips is actually an All-American guard who was supposed to start at right guard today, but he was injured last week. So his younger brother, John, right there, number 66, stepped over and started at right guard, and Phillips will be back a week from now. But they don't lose anything when John goes from left tackle to right guard. He's a player.
Who are some of the other standouts overall?
Well, Mark Hudson, the left guard, was a consensus All-American a year ago. Looks like he will be so again this year. And, of course, Keith Jackson. So you've got potentially 3 All-Americans up front.
You know, I'm just told by our spotter, Jimmy Tubbs, that Hudson also limped off a short time ago. There he is over there. He's a little gimpy with the knee. Look at his size, folks.
Look at the right guard here. This is John Phillips. He's the one who got stepped down there, I guess. Played marvelously today. Helmet gets on the right side there a little bit too much. He's on the ground, then he gets stepped on. A whole mass of bodies. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
A holding call brings back Thompson's fine run. So the backup quarterback,
superb athlete, as is the starter who was hurt. Thompson keeps it cut back.
How about that burst? Thompson trying to get free, and Hagee finally got him at about the 25-yard line. 34-yard run. Oh, my.
There's not enough positions on offense, Brent, for these guys to play. You sit down Jamel Holloway, then you have to try to defend Thompson. Terrific cut. You see that by a lot of tailbacks, but not too many quarterbacks. When you get to thinking about it, really the quarterback position at Oklahoma is much like a halfback. Watch the block of the left tackle there. Richard Marks. Boy, again, the guys up front really have done a nice job.
So here's a first down. Collins. He's close to the 21. I'll tell you, take a look at some of the players in Switzer's backfield right now. You got Carr, you got Stafford, you got Collins. Barry wants another touchdown. Here's Nebraska. Some of you will watch them play Oklahoma State next week. Well, Bobby Bowden didn't have to face the decision of going for the tie or the win today.
Yeah.
We got a little timeout called now. It's going against Oklahoma. So with 12 minutes remaining here in the Cotton Bowl, and the Sooners leading at 34-9, we'll be right back. Well, their starting quarterback, Jamel Holloway, returns from the locker room. They dressed that arm injury. The coach getting him back now from the sideline. Rushed 15 times for 70 yards, and he threw 2 of 5 for 76 yards and 1 touchdown. That other pass to Jackson was a very important reception, which led to their first touchdown. Now, this is a second down play for Thompson, the backup quarterback. Carr to the 19, but he'll be short of the first down. They have to get down to about the 16-yard line.
And again, that Texas defense is still hanging in there. Those guys have been on the field a long time, but they have not quit yet. Yeah, the Oklahoma center, again, this is the second team center. Mark Vandersbilk did a nice job on Hager. I'll tell you what, Hager's had his hands full today with both those centers. Nice little grab there at the end.
So 3 yards to go for an Oklahoma first down. They lead it by 25 with 11:23 to go. Thompson keeps it. Got an alley. He'll be out at the 10. Just inside the 10-yard line after an 11-yard run for Coach Switzer.
You know, good defense really here. Was excellent penetration by the Longhorns, but Thompson had to alter his route, but then he has the speed to bounce it in outside. See, inside pressure by the tackle, and then again show some strength from these small backs, but they're strong. Good legs.
Thompson has carried 3 times for 55 yards here coming off the bench. The Oklahoma backs are about the same size, aren't they? 5'9", 5'10", right around there. They can all move. They pound Carr. No gain on that play. Hackenmack and Hager. As for after this game, Oklahoma playing Kansas State, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Missouri, and then is this the worst Oklahoma has ever beaten Texas? No, it is not. What they did back in 08 and then a year ago, 47-12. Right now it's 37-9. And the Sooners come up to the line here with a first down. The ball at the 19-yard line. Damon Stell and Eric Mitchell, number 1, check in at running back, and they break the fullback, Rodney Anderson. There's the backup fullback out to the 45-yard line. There's no end to the talent. He just took it 27 yards.
You know, you talk to coaches around the country, and they say it's everybody's on equal footing now because of scholarship limitations, but somehow Oklahoma does pretty well with their 30 scholarships. And they're well coached. I don't think Barry Switzer gets enough credit.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone thinks that Switzer does it with talent, and certainly that is true. But let me tell you what's important about coaching that I guess at least all the coaches tell me is getting along with people. And Barry does that. I think his athletes like him. The ones that have played for him, they've got a lot of nice things to say about him. Keeping it is Thompson. Goodbye. that Thompson has come off the bench. He has rushed for 108 yards on only 6 carries. And that's the backup quarterback, folks. I mean, that's not even number 1.
Watch the block by the backup fullback, Rodney Anderson, who does a nice job of giving Thompson a chance. And then he's off the races. Again, it looks like Magic Johnson coming down the field on the fast break. It's just incredible to me.
And Lasher hammers in another one.
After the block by Anderson, you're just not going to catch Thompson. 170 pounds, very, very smooth. And probably a better thrower than Holloway.
Well, this was a 7-point game at the half. And now it is 44-9. Well, let's check in with Jim Nantz and see what's going on around the country. Jim?
Brett, there's a key WAC game in Provo. Wyoming was trailing 14-0 to BYU, but they've come back to tie it up now in the touchdown pass to Perkins. Now, Wyoming already owns WAC wins over Air Force and San Diego State, and with a win today over BYU, the Cowboys could be looking at a Holiday Bowl berth before Halloween. Let's go back to Brent and Pat.
All right, Jim, and here it's Oklahoma all over Texas 44-9 and showing everyone why they are clearly the #1 team in the country.
Everybody talked about their early season schedule and how easy it was, but they were supposed to play USC and SMU, I believe.
They sort of tuned up with that first half here today when it was 13-6 at the half. Oh, again, Thompson goes to the short man, Samuels. He breaks a tackle. And he's out of bounds there at the 25-yard line.
Here's the remaining schedule for Texas. They play it at Arkansas next week. They run the wishbone as well, not quite as well as Oklahoma, of course. And then Baylor and A&M at the end of the year, 2 tough remaining games for the last part of their schedule. They have a shot in the conference. They have a chance.
Well, Stafford brings the horns to the line. They send Metcalf out as a receiver. He's out of bounds there at the 29. There's the 30-yard line. We run through some scores. Well, Coach Akers was at Texas until last year.
You know, LSU has not scored many points, although I think they're a very talented offense.
One of the surprises of the season, Oregon. Metcalf on the delay. Great move. Jitterbugs his way and then slashes to the 40 and a first down. 6:45, another 11 yards for Eric Metcalf. Boy, I'll tell you, the turnovers in this game really have been the difference.
8 in the first 2, 12 in the first 2 games, and then the 5 today. Again, I just don't think they're talented enough to throw the ball 60 or 70% of the time. We've seen some problems with Stafford reading coverage, and Tony Jones, one of the wide receivers, has dropped, what, 2 or 3 balls.
Ball at the 40. Deflected on the swing, intended for Norris. Boy, that number 10 who delivered that hammer, Vickers, has played himself a football game today for Berry, too. Troy Johnson was able to get in and deflect it a little bit. They'll be happy going home tonight, won't they?
He didn't look too happy for a man so far ahead.
Well, you know, the one concern that you would have as a coach, I think, right now, are the injuries over there. You would certainly hope that none of your offensive linemen were hurt badly, or Jones when he limped off. Holloway, gashed arm, but we've seen that they've got a great backup quarterback at Oklahoma. He is so good that they switched Mitchell out to halfback this year. Here's Metcalf. He's played his heart out here this afternoon. 43, and Jones is back, and that was Dante Jones who made the stop there, number 50. Well, that's good to see him back. Metcalf today has rushed for 64 yards, and he's caught passes for 39 more.
No, he's really matured here. He started out as a freshman just as a punt returner, Metcalf did. Then last year, 42 receptions. This year, he came into the game averaging 115 yards rushing.
Stafford. Intercepted again. Scott Garl battles his way close to the 30-yard line before Keith Cash, the wide receiver, tackles him.
Well, Oklahoma is ahead so much, and what you want to do is be a free safety for Oklahoma in this part of the game, because you can lay back deep coverage. And you read the quarterback the whole way. It's just a zone. He sees the crossing route and just steps in front. Good read by Garl. And Stafford's going to have to do a better job of looking those people off if he wants to throw that kind of route.
So they get a first down at the 31-yard line. They've got 5.5 minutes here. John Green, third-string halfback, checks in for Oklahoma. Thompson, incomplete. Cavanis, the intended receiver, he scored 1 touchdown here this afternoon. Well, we got another break, and let's check in with Jim Nantz. Jim?
Well, Brent, you mentioned Georgia coming back on LSU. Here's how it happened. James Jackson of the Bulldogs will go to John Thomas. The Dogs missed the extra point and trail by 7 midway in the third quarter, Brent.
All right, Jim. I guess there are going to be some questions raised about Berry chucking it into the end zone, as he did there, up 44-9. But like we said, this is a battle for bragging rights and recruiting rights, as Rodney Anderson carries here for Oklahoma. And the clock ticks away toward the 5-minute mark.
The toughest part for this Texas team getting prepared for next week's game is trying to get this one behind you, trying to forget a game like this. It's an awfully tough job for McWilliams.
You know, thinking about it, though, if you were trying to be nice to the opposing coach and you got all these running backs and Thompson's that fast, I'd say just keep throwing it.
The thing they do least well, right?
Here comes Thompson. Incomplete in the end zone. That was Arthur Guess, a backup end freshman out of Oklahoma City, who was the intended receiver. Well, this was not a day for upsets. Syracuse idle. Many of you watched them. Clemson came away with a win. Oklahoma State, Minnesota slugged it out with Northwestern and outscored them today. Nebraska, Oklahoma will stay unblemished. And Notre Dame and Miami both play tonight. Notre Dame Pitt. Pat, how do you view that one?
Pittsburgh is one of those teams, even though they've lost 2 games, I think Pittsburgh is dangerous. They're very talented, I think well coached by Mike Godfrey. It's at Pitt, I believe.
Injured player down at the 35-yard line, being tended to by the Texas training staff. They've had fewer players injured today than Oklahoma. So while we have an opportunity, let's take a break here. We've got 4:40 to go. Oklahoma's going to win it. We'll be right back.
To update a couple of games that are still in progress, Michigan and Michigan State are playing, and Michigan quarterback Demetrius Brown has thrown 5 interceptions as the Wolverines trail in the fourth quarter. Elsewhere, USC now has added a touchdown. Oregon's lead cut to 21-7, and Texas A&M, a team that's struggling after losing last week in its Southwest Conference opener, leading by 5 with 2.5 minutes to go in College Station. Let's go back to Brent and Pat.
Jim, if we were playing a Little League baseball game here, we might invoke the mercy rule. Oklahoma up by 35. Texas has thrown 5 interceptions today. That ties the school record. And they almost had one going the other way.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for Barry Switzer. You know, what do you do in this situation and not get accused of running up the ball? Obviously, they do throw the ball least well. But if you get the ball on the end of the corner with Thompson, you got a problem.
Hold on here a minute, folks. I think they're getting ready. I think they've been watching what happens to Coach Marcel's up there in the Meadowlands, and yes, indeedy. I don't think he's there.
Oh, a bit chilly.
Oh, my.
I hope it's waterproof, he said.
All right. First down. And Kelly returns, and it's incomplete. Gabriel Johnson. You know, speaking of the passing game, not only as Barry gets a towel and attempts to dry off over there, you know, not only have the quarterbacks struggled here, but I don't think the receivers have held on to the ball well either for them.
We talked about Tony Jones. He dropped 3 balls. One in the first half really caused an interception, and he had one really that he could have caught for, I think, for a touchdown.
What's the feeling out there in Los Angeles about the NFL strike, Pat? They want them to get it over and get the Rams and the Raiders back?
Oh, I think everybody does, but listen to some of the players talk. It looks like it's going to be a long one from here on in.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? Kelly, there's a completed ball, and Vickers delivers the hit. That was Eric Williams, backup tailback.
Brent, you and I were talking about the Heisman Trophy some this week. How do you rate Holloway? Is he there, you think?
You know, he's got to be one of the candidates. We make Tim Brown of Notre Dame the favorite.
Yeah.
Tough for a wide receiver. I think as long as he scores touchdowns for the Fighting Irish, he'd get the job now. Look what he did today. He became the #1 rushing quarterback against Steve Davis. Davis, incidentally, worked at CBS. He still does the coaches show up there with Barry Switzer up in Norman. He had a fine career, and Holloway motors right on past him today. Third down. Well, you also got a Keith Jackson. They just don't throw it enough to him. London Williams get him a first down with the clock moving and stop as they move the chains. Boy, Michigan State. That is a big recruiting game in that state, like this one is down in the state of Texas, too, I guess. Didn't we hear that there were more players in the CFA out of the state of Texas someplace? Didn't our producer?
Yeah, absolutely, than anywhere else.
I think Mike Burks was telling us at the meeting last night there's more players at the CFA schools from Texas. Now, of course, that does not include the Big Ten, Pac-10, but still, it's really impressive. Complete. Nice catch over there. That was Tony Jones. 13 yards, first down. Here's what we were talking about, where they come from in the CFA. Look at that, 866 players out of this state.
You know, that's why Barry comes down here and recruits. He gets everybody he wants from the state of Oklahoma. Then he comes into Texas for a lot of his athletes.
California would certainly jump up, and Ohio would have a lot if you included the Big Ten in that list. But still in all, boy, there's a wealth of talent down here. There's only one Oklahoma player on the Texas roster. He's one of the safeties, Paul Behrman. He's out of Norman, Oklahoma. Isn't that something? The only player from Oklahoma is right out of Norman. The flip back. That's Williams. Won't get away from the defense that time. Nailed it midfield with the clock running down toward 3 minutes. Let's go downstairs to John Dockery. John.
Brent, you've been talking about the importance of this game, bragging rights in the state, of course, national spot for Oklahoma. But it's not just that. It's also the Golden Hat Award, presented to the Texas-Oklahoma Golden Hat Trophy, to be held by the current winner of the series. It's been around since 1928, of course. Oklahoma's had it for a few years. They will take it home again. Of course, it's a 10-gallon hat. What else in Texas, Brent?
Yeah, you know, I think it was probably modeled, though, after the one Will Rogers wore. That's what it looks like to me. Second down and 4. Or I should say about second down and 14. Another interception. That one was intended for Jones, and Crudup gets his second. That's his second interception of the day for Coach Switzer.
Boy, it's easy pickings for these defensive backs right now. And again, I can't say it enough. They've done such a nice job of playing that zone, reading the pattern, and reading the quarterback.
Stafford with 5 interceptions and Kelly with 2. Total of 7.
All of Texas's runs in this game have been based off of passing plays, a lot of draws. They're going to have to find a way to pound the football to have some success this year. The defense has played well.
I can't decide which is the bigger upset, Indiana over Ohio State or Memphis State over Alabama. Boy, those were 2 big ones, weren't they? As Mitchell runs off tackle and they keep the clock moving. I'm absolutely shocked by both of them.
Well, we saw Ohio State early in the year, great defensive team. They were struggling on offense.
Jamel, he brings the symbol of the offense with him, doesn't he? Huh? You know, notice you folks up in Norman, you know, the Barry Switzer show. I know it's one of the most popular shows up there. I got a kick out of after the Iowa State game. they run the billboards at the end of the show when a coach is walking off the field. There, Jamel gets in right close to him, and he's walking off the field. He knows he's getting a little camera time.
He's from California.
Oh, you bet. It is a tremendous team, and there's a great backup. Thompson tugging free and finally goes down there. And that was Paul Behrman, Norman, Oklahoma. Finally brought him down.
Now you see Jamel Holloway there without his shoulder pads. It's incredible to me. Barry gives his guys an awful lot of freedom as long as they put up.
You'd give them freedom too if they get 44 against Texas like this.
You're right.
Leading 13-6 at the half and then turn it around. You know, you go back to that one interception though when the Longhorns were driving. That was really a big play in this game. Because they scored twice in a minute 15, and this ball game was never the same after that. Talent prevailed. Now Thompson tackled out of bounds.
Oh, should have been a late hit.
Yeah, you shouldn't let him go down like that, just to protect him, really. You know, I don't know if it was as nasty as. Yeah, see, Barry's upset about it too. I think Barry's absolutely right. You got to throw the flag in that situation. You got to protect the athlete over there.
He was 3 yards out of bounds.
Yeah, there was no need for that. You're losing the ball game, and really unnecessary.
It's Stanley Richard, number 18, to really hit him. Now that'll set it up for next year's game. Believe me, they'll remember that one.
Yeah, Richard's only a freshman. He'll be around for a few more of these games. You know, this group of Oklahoma players, the seniors, they've never lost to Texas. There they are. The interceptions by the Sooners.
Only 2 of those by starters.
You know, if Thompson is
Jamel
shaken up, I think they had to put the shoulder pads back on.
That's exactly right. Look, he's putting it back on.
Now with 52 seconds to go, and you've had a little incident. The backup quarterback shaken up. Yeah, they really should have thrown a flag over there, Pat. I hate to see that.
Now you wonder whether Barry's going to give Jamel a tough time about taking the shoulder pads off. Yeah.
And also, you got to wonder if he's going to give Jamel one of those triple options and send a little speed someplace here and go for another one.
You know, coming into today's game, Brent, 17 different ball carriers carried the ball for Oklahoma. They got a lot of talent. But nobody in the top 20 in rushing or scoring individually.
They just do it as a team.
Knocked a little dingy, it sounds like, or it looked like.
So A&M beats Houston today. Now on first down. And they run green, and the clock continues to move. Got a lot of games in progress. Washington, after the disappointment of a week ago. Arizona and Cal tied in the third. Wyoming over BYU. So here's the second down. This should do it. Oklahoma stays unbeaten and ranked #1. Great performance by Switzer's team in the second half. So we'll continue from Dallas after this message and a word from your local stations. Seven interceptions key the Sooners' 44-9 victory over the Longhorns. And our Chevrolet MVP of this game, we're going to go to the entire offensive line of Oklahoma as the Sooners rush for 390 yards. Greg Johnson, John Phillips, Bob Latham, Mark Hudson, Richard Marks, and Keith Jackson. A superb job of blocking. For Texas, their middle linebacker, Britt Hager. And a check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated by Chevrolet to each school's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. A final word, a sign-off, coming up in a moment. The Texas State Fair provided the backdrop as Oklahoma routed Texas in the annual shootout 44-9. Next week, more exciting college football action. You'll see either number 14 Penn State take on Syracuse or number 2 Nebraska travel to Oklahoma State. And tomorrow, the action starts at 12:30 Eastern with the NFL Today, followed by a doubleheader NFL replacement games. Check local listings for the game in your area. Oklahoma versus Texas has been a presentation of CBS Sports. See you tomorrow, everybody.